Ladies and gents, good evening and welcome to week 3 of the Open Series split number 3 here on the EGL channel. Of course, my name is Tone, joined by Toby once again. Into the fray once again, Toby. The game modes were confirmed across the whole platform of Gears Esports this week, but it's another week for us, week number 3 specifically, of Control, Escalation, and Execution. How are you doing, my friend? It's another Sunday, as said, excited to get into more good competition.
Yeah, it's a sunny Sunday as well. It's been quite hot actually, which has been a bit of a change here in Wales this past week. Not sure how it's been for you up in England, Chris, but no, it's been nice. It's been nice. I mean, myself, I've got my last exam now on Wednesday. After that, I'm just going to play the new Operation 7 for days on end and just play more Control and scrims and Exi and lots of Eska. Times are good at the moment, Chris, and it was a really exciting announcement actually about the new modes coming to NA and LATAM too. I guess we're ahead of the curve. Perhaps they'll go to controller crossplay next.
I wonder if we were just like the bait, just to see if it did actually work out. I think it has done, though. I know obviously some of the community are a little bit still unsure on it, but I think we're starting to win some people over with it. And I think this official announcement coming through should bring you all crawling back eventually, hopefully. But it's nice to see the community still being involved this week. Another similar amount of teams as what we got last week, so interested to see. But there is some new names in here who are, well, not so much new names, Toby. Players that we haven't seen so far this split in getting themselves involved in the action so far. I believe we're actually waiting on their game, but Hydrone and the gang are kind of back in and amongst it. What do we think of this team? Are they going to dislodge EXES straight away, or do you think?
Oh, it's an interesting one. It's of course it's the highly rated roster. I don't think they're called it anymore, but it's basically Hydrone replacing Marsh. Of course, Marsh has taken a break and he's focusing on his exams. We're right in the middle of an exam period, of course, and those three are continuing on. Hydrone is there playing with them today. So yeah, I think they're probably like the a top 2 team today. On paper, you'd expect them to come back despite the relative lack of playtime perhaps in the last few weeks. Whether there'll be excess, though, I'm not too sure. I mean, it all depends. Have they been scrimming much Control and Execution? I know EXES have continued playing, right, and are still on top of their game. I think it'll be a really interesting insight today into how well both teams are playing this far into the new modal split up or setup.
Yeah, I think it is a bigger learning curve, of course, to try and just bring it in after what seems like a good few years of escalation at this point across 4 and 5. So yeah, it is something completely different, but I think that's one thing that I like about it, is in the sense of that everybody's still learning. So, it's about picking up on the experience of scrims through the week of teams who have already maybe done the hard work for you by figuring out how things work. So maybe not too bad of a situation to be in. They can pick it up quite quickly, but interested to see how they do get on. But as mentioned, I do believe we are waiting on them getting on through. But let's have a look at the bracket to see where things are going to fall. If they do, well, they did win. There you go. So they're going to make their way through. How are we going to pronounce this team name, Toby?
TamTam.
What is it?
TamTam.
TamTam.
Team TamTam. Or just Team Tam.
Okay.
Team Tam.
Team Tam. That's arguably harder.
Double T.
Will we go?
Tam.
There we go.
There
Thanks,
go.
Matt. PhantomT is who they'll be going up against in the one semi-final. The other side of things, EXES Esport against Class 1A once again. Plenty of practicing against each other, those two, interestingly. But to be fair, TamTam will be going in up against PhantomT, who looked really good last week. They were unfortunate not to do a bit more against EXES Esports in the grand finals in all seriousness. And that sort of leads us back to the point we were just talking about, that these new modes can offer different routes in. If you'd sort of said PhantomT against EXES last season in escalation only, would you really have expected it to be close as it was, I should say? You absolutely would not. So to find ourselves in a spot where teams are able to push people to the limit on different game modes, it makes the series a little bit more interesting, Toby.
Absolutely. Even now, right? I know change is coming in thick and fast with these 3 modes for a lot of players. But even now, like, some players are talking about extravagant picks and bans of modes and maps, and to try and add even more depth and really take advantage of the change. While some others are a bit more hesitant about the change, right? And then they're not sure as to whether it's good for them, their team, and what they should be scrimming. And of course, there was the maps at first. Teams and players were unsure of whether the map pool was too big. Of course, that got condensed, and rightfully so. there's a lot of different opinions floating in the air, and I think with time and experience, a lot of opinions will change on that matter, and some teams will generally lean towards one mode or two modes as perhaps their better modes, and they'll focus on those, or perhaps they'll focus more on their weaknesses when they practice. And I just think it adds a lot of depth and variety that players, teams, and spectators will enjoy long term.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where teams kind of have to pick your poison, don't you? You have to understand what's not necessarily worked out for you. Everyone should be very well practiced on escalation at this point.
Yeah.
It's just a case of getting through to execution or control as per usual. But we are trying to get sorted with this game as soon as we possibly can. But of course, Toby, at the same time, the major is actually going on currently right now as well. So if you've got both tabs open, thank you very much for having us in one of them. But interesting to see how that final escalation side of things really goes for these guys, because that's going to be a complete change up on the other side of the pond there, and it's going to be some interesting viewing when things do change over there as well.
Absolutely. I mean, they've been running slightly different settings to us, I think. I know Kenny from E United, who have been having an incredible major so far, I must admit. They're in the winners bracket final, for those unaware. Kenny has been really a strong proponent of the different modes, and he's, I think he's provided a lot of insight actually to a lot of people in terms of weapon swaps and things. Of course, he had experience back on Gears 3 competing then when he was coming up, and he's generally, quite an intelligent, well-spoken guy, and they've kind of leaned towards this side of control of having less power weapons. They were actually one of the first, well, they were before us actually on the first to six idea with execution, right, to compensate for the faster gameplay and the quicker rounds that we now have on this game, as to balance it out with the other maps, right? And so it's interesting. They've clearly been moving really fast in that sense to try and develop settings and the maps, and find the best maps and as such. And I think we're kind of level on that. That map pool idea. A lot of our maps are similar now at this point. I think our execution map cycle is exactly the same, right? Control is pretty much the same, but they're still testing other maps. So it's quite interesting actually, because we've got the European side that are going one way to try and find what could be what is the best competitively in their minds or our minds, and then you've got the the NA side, LATAM side, which are going down the same journey. It's kind of seeing which region, which side finds the optimal settings or the best maps as quickly as possible, and then perhaps the other one will follow suit. It's kind of like two independent tests going on thoroughly independent of each other, and it's cool to see. I think that side is that side of the content, that region has a really difficult time ahead of themselves in terms of actually ensuring they are fully prepared on the three modes, because before all these teams are going to be forced to play on each and every mode and perform as best they can. And whether they can keep that that scheduling up, that practice, and be as good at execution and control as they are on escalation, well, it remains to be seen.
Yeah, it's one of those things that they're all very differently paced, aren't they? At the end of the day, so it is very different ways of playing across all three different game modes. So it's going to be interesting to see the teams who are at the top remain at the top. It's kind of the same here once everyone's sort of back and swinging up to speed with everything. I'm really interested to see who is going to look like the best team in Europe. I do believe we're nearly ready to go. We were having a couple of issues getting inside the lobby, but we are, I do believe, getting ourselves into this one. I do believe we're going to be watching TamTam. Is that what we went with against PhantomT, of course, which should be an interesting one. What are you leaning towards on this one? Because I think you'd be rude to kind of not go PhantomT after their performance last week in the grand final. They actually look really good, and they really did push EXES over a couple of the maps at least. So I think that's where most people will be leaning with the lack of practice on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one because you look at Hydron, for example. There's loads of experience on execution from back in the time of UE when he was on the best team for the majority of that time. Crazed, likewise for EXES, for example, is kind of a similar story with him, right? I think generally speaking, even the rest of the players on this roster, in fact, they're very experienced in the different modes, and so you'd hope, despite the relative lack of practice, perhaps, and as a team or just as individuals scrimming this past month for for TamTam, that they'd still be able to adapt just fine, at least to a certain level. It's a question of whether PhantomT have, built up enough practice and experience now, had that really good practice in the grand final against EXES last week, that they still have that edge perhaps, and it still means that they can topple what experience the other team has.
Yeah, it does make things super interesting heading into this game, which I believe we're nearly ready to go into. It looks like we're going through some maps, etc. So it looks like it's going to be Vasgard District Canals. Canals
Okay.
to come up finally. Not a map we've seen so far, and I know it's one that a lot of people have a lot of maybe I don't want to say tension around, but it's one that is kind of,
it's controversial.
Yeah, they love it or you hate it. It is a controversial one. That's the word I was looking for. It's almost like I speak for a living, Toby. It is a controversial one, so interesting to see if we do get to see that. And I believe we've got every chance to possibly as well. District is the kind of typical control map that a lot of teams will default to, although Nexus has really been the one that we've seen most of, as it kind of makes sense on a basic level, I would say. And Vasgar obviously is tried and tested escalation. You know what I find funny, and it's kind of a good comparison. Everyone hated Vasgar first.
I know, yeah, I was just about to bring it up. Yeah.
But now here we are. Like, I mean, everyone kind of picks it all the time because I think it's just it's a little bit different than the other escalation maps, isn't it? So
it's such a great, it's a great point. Yeah, it gives you great insight. That same rule could apply to the modes in time, right? The teams that really dislike control and think it's a bit out there, it's a bit too random. Will one day think, oh, it's our favorite mode, it's our best mode, and then they'll start picking that to get the advantage over other teams. And likewise, perhaps with Canals, right? Canals is super controversial. That like a lot of players have the blanket rule of double snipes is awful. You shouldn't have a power weapon on spawn. It's not competitive. It can be slow. It can be passive. But then you actually start scrimming it on this game, and you look to the past experiences that we have had on Canals. Yeah, there's been some slow moments in Execution 1.0, but in Execution 2.0, when you have that same experience on this new mode and this new game, things can change up quite drastically. And some, with teams with very good snipers. I know my team has been scrimming all week. Say Tama has loved playing on that on his bridge with the snipe. The rounds are super fast, but say Tama and our team are very happy to be playing it and to be able to have a snipe off spawn. I think it's a very interesting dynamic, just like you have the asymmetry on Vasgar. It's just a bit of variety at the end of the day, right? Some people like it, some people won't, but at least there's the variety and there's the options there.
It's the spice of life, mate. That's the saying that it's been around for a long time. Something that we can talk about as well a little bit as well. I put out a poll myself on the EGL Gears Twitter account asking what everyone's favorite mode was. It was significantly closer than I actually thought it was going to be.
Same, yeah.
It kind of caught me off guard a little bit there. So Execution obviously coming through first. I kind of thought that would be the case. But how close it was. So for anybody who didn't see it, it was 37% Execution, 31% escalation, and 30% of control. So control does lose out, but it's by a vote or two, realistically. And there's not much in it at all. So that did really surprise me, considering teams, for me, looking from the outside in, it kind of feels like control is the big sticking point for a lot of people. But, I mean, based on this, people don't dislike it that much, clearly. I mean, of course, there wasn't like a hell of a lot of votes, but like 200 votes in there. And 30% of people voted for control.
People would be shocked, I think. Just from my experience alone, it's anecdotal, right? It's just my team, it's just my experience this week. But it's actually surprised me. A lot of the teams we've scrimmed against wanted to play control first, and then we ended up playing all three control maps before they even wanted to go on execution escalation. If you just look at some, your popular names on Twitter or whatever, you think, oh, control isn't liked by the majority, and or whatever, and people come to conclusions. But with a lot of different teams and people who don't necessarily speak out, there is a big majority, I would say, that actually like control being in the cycle. And I think their Twitter polls, yes, you can criticize them how you want, but a lot of the polls that we've seen and the general feedback that we've had, of course, the surveys on the NA LATAM side, of course, they've chosen to have control in there probably for good reason. Most would say they like control being in the cycle. That's what we generally hear, and they are the majority. And so, I think that will surprise people. I think over time, more and more people will start to like control as well. And I think eventually it will just be accepted, and the numbers will show that.
Yeah, I think we were having this conversation beforehand. It's you need to try it, and you need to understand it's not going to click straight away for a lot of teams. I think I found it easy to pick up from obviously COD. It's exactly the same as Hardpoint. Everybody in the EGL staff chat, I've got a counter of how many times I mentioned that I'm from Call of Duty, but besides the point, I know they'll all be laughing. It's still at a certain point of like, at least, if from my point of view, I've been able to pick it up very easily. It's very similar to Hardpoint. Of course, Gears fans haven't necessarily had that before, but in a sense, it's kind of like King of the Hill in a way as well. As long as when you manage to pick up the spawns idea, make sure that you are like locking that kind of thing down, it should just kind of come easily to these teams, really, Toby.
I think so. That's the sticking point, right? It's not the single ring rather than the 3. It's literally just the multiple spawn points because we're just used to 2 traditional spawn points. It's a completely new layer of play. Completely different. If you've not played Gears 3, KOTH competitive back in the day, all the way back 2011 through 2014, then yeah, of course it's going to seem crazy. And if all your majority of your experience is, ranked KOTH, where it's just chaos everywhere with, wave spawns and teammates that won't revive you and maps that are really questionable for spawns. Of course, Control is quite different to KOTH in terms of the spawn points, way more points to worry about and not have an issue with. Then yeah, of course it will seem really daunting and really different, and it will be very jarring at first. But with time, with practice and experience, it'll seem a lot less random and a bit more predictable, I think, to a lot of players.
Practice scrimming. Toby's scrimming every night.
Scrim me tonight after the broadcast. I'll be tweeting soon
as well.
Yeah.
Oh goodness me, absolutely. Anyway, something that everybody knows, and I think that was another part for me specifically as well. My opinion is that Escalation getting a little stale. It kind of needed a bit spicing up, didn't it? For me personally, at least. Anyway, we need to see something maybe change up, and something that hasn't changed is that Hydron is very good at Gears, and he has started this one nicely. His team will get the B break, and that will be a good start for TamTam. PhantomT, though, as mentioned, the past couple of weeks have performed well, specifically on the new game modes. So, Escalation, specifically, of course, though, hasn't changed, and we would expect TamTam to do very well in this game mode.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, funny enough, Vazgar was the first map PhantomT played against EXES, right, last week on in the grand final. Didn't go to plan for PhantomT, of course. EXES just started really coming out of nowhere in the second half. I think it was like 5-2 in the end. But they had a really good game actually against, I think it was Xenex just before did PhantomT, and they were doing really well. So curious to see, how they play today, right? How TamTam are doing. Hydron hasn't played in 28 days, it said in his stream. He's been all about Apex and things in recent times, but he's been hitting shots. I know he's just been taken down there, but he's definitely hitting the shots is Ben, aka Hydron, and yeah, really curious to see how this first map plays out.
Yeah, I'm sure things as time goes on will continue to come back to him. And as the tournament goes on, if anything as well, then these guys will probably start warming to it a little bit. Don't know how much practice they've really put in together in these new game modes, but I'm sure that will really come to the very, very, very quickly. That's a cross map down from Dragons. It's not going to make a grand deal of difference to the outcome, but nonetheless, still PhantomT are the ones with the win condition. Things really changing hands quite a lot here on Vazgar, though. It has not been a straightforward one. A lot of running through the middle of the map, a lot of cutting off lanes where you wouldn't necessarily expect it. TamTam are the ones with the lead. Vision, if you keep shooting like that, is going to cause problems. Ricardo's there to help him out as well. They're going to actually force out slaps, so that's a really good move from PhantomT. B is in their sights as well. Should be coming off the respawn TamTam to get a hold of C, but PhantomT in a really nice spot.
Yeah, Hydron forced to push this 1B, still getting angled out. Good shots on him, but no, Death Dancer holds his nerve, holds his shot, comes out of the stun, and finds Hydron at that crucial moment. 18 seconds to go if we're to see PhantomT win off 2 hills. Oh no, 2 kills, make it a 3rd. I think Slap's got one off screen as well. Ricardo, the last one alive. Hills are changing, and they only have 1 hill to their name now. Ricardo, important shotgun fight. He will lose out. Hydron coming on through. Hill captured, but no, it's breaking.
We need to keep them off this, though. This is the difficulty. Cougar's already very, very weak as well. Needs the rest of the team to start coming on through. Cougar's Hydron both going down. Slaps is here to try and cause some issue, but as soon as that's locked in, it's going to make things so much more difficult. 3-second win condition, that is locked in. A very competitive round number 1, though. PhantomT will take it. Could have went either way.
Yeah, so nice little round to start off, right? Really pretty close from both teams. Everyone getting a kill on the board. And Vazgar playing like its usual self, right? Running around in a circle almost. All these players, they try to overextend and pick up hills as they go. Wouldn't expect anything too crazy weapon placement-wise. Tell you what we haven't seen placement-wise in a long time is actually placing something center. I'm pretty sure people have placed more weapons up top on Exhibit on the bridge than they have in the center of Vazgar. Which is surprising.
It doesn't happen very often.
I think Map Vazgar actually is one of the maps that has the most predictable weapon placements of all, really. It's very rare that you do see you know, a drop shot go down on this side of the map and things. I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong, but tends to be quite vanilla.
Yeah, I haven't seen very much, but well, PhantomT haven't seen very much of any of the rings so far. The domination just threatened for a second. Looks like C and A should be fairly locked in. The trenches are being dug, and now TamTam choosing to go on the defensive side of things. Although saying that, Mystique is now going to get caught out, and is that route through to B looking maybe a little bit more plausible. Surprise.
Yeah. Ricardo's been playing well so far today, and he really is the MVP, I think, for PhantomT oftentimes. He's almost like the pains of the roster, right? When he is playing well, it really makes a huge difference to what seems like the morale on the team. And he's just picked up 2 kills, right? And now we're leading to a triple cap. Cougars is able to block it for now, not going to get the break, though. And the round will come on through. Like I was saying, Ricardo literally 2 kills on the trot. He was the one who overextended in the first place, made a huge difference to that round. If Ricardo can be playing well today, especially, you know, given how close the control was against EXES last time on Nexus, and we know how much slaying power matters within the chaos on that mode, you know, maybe, just maybe, Ricardo gives his team the edge over perhaps not only TamTam, but maybe EXES later on if we're to assume EXES gets to the grand final.
I think it's going to start changing around a little bit more. 2 pistols on the side of TamTam. Retro placed down for PhantomT, so bear that in mind as things continue.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like this is not maybe a must-win for TamTam, but it kind of feels like, you know, with the lack of... I want to say lack of practice. I don't know how much have been scrimming, as mentioned. But obviously lack of competitive time on the new game modes in comparison to PhantomT is going to be fairly significant. So let's bear that in mind when we head into maps number 2, possibly 3, of course. I don't know how this one goes. Feels as if TamTam would have liked to find themselves with a win down here, but here we go. Push out from PhantomT. Death Dancer should be catching slaps off guard. Yes, he does. Nicely done. Invites the pressure and deals with it well. It's a big push over towards C coming in from PhantomT. Now Ricardo's going to get gunned on the other side of things, though. That's going to release a little bit of the pressure that would have been on TamTam for a second. They should be able to extend over towards A. They will extend over towards A. And we're going to try and get C back as well.
Nice job from Vision there, rolling out, getting back to cover. 3 players, though, of TamTam now, pressing on in. Full red is Vision, and he's going to need some help if he is to stay alive. They're still trying to hold it, though. Vision very close, domination blinking. As it stands, they won't be able to push on forward, and neither will Ricardo at spawn. TamTam just like that. Bring out a nice overextension from tank side. Dragons leading the way and getting pretty much a similar cap as to PhantomT did in the previous round.
Don't was going to say anything too crazy when it comes to weapon picks, but of course TamTam now on the board. You would imagine they're going to meet EXES in the grand finals, of course, whoever does come out of this one. Class 1A haven't looked too bad by any stretch of the imagination, but EXES Esports really have looked like the behemoth that they are so far in this new meta of Gears 5.
Yeah.
Big push over towards B here, Toby.
Yep, advantage PhantomT as it stands, as they have the insend up now. Slaps, of course, just over the retro to his name. Question is whether Vision will be able to use that insend effectively enough to find a kill, or at least a big advantage on a push. Let's see. Pushing over on right hand. It will throw and only gets a hit marker. Immediately pushed, though. The flashbang will work out amazingly for Hydron. Brilliant stuff. Couldn't even see the play. Just knew exactly that he's close enough, Chris, and he can close the gap if he gets the stun in. Dodges the incend in the process, and now advantage TamTam on that side of the map.
I press the issue maybe not a little bit more. Let me see that. Not doing too badly. Setup here coming in from TamTam. Not quite happy to hold the 2-cap where they can. The win condition, of course, will be with them. Albeit quite some time away. Good shots from Ricardo across the map, though. Gonna make Slaps take a little bit more damage than he would have liked, and a lot more damage than he would have liked. He will fall, but the rest of the team's trying to back him up. Nastiques, he's gonna fall as Cougars finds another. And he's defended this pretty much all on his own. Lock A back in for TamTam. Still in the lead. Oh, that 2-cap. Was that a headshot from there? Oh, goodness me. Oh, trying to thread the eye of a needle over the top of that cover. Not necessarily going to work. Big push from PhantomT coming through, though. But Cougar's doing a good job there, spotting it all out for his team. Hopefully, they'll be there to defend.
Oh, 2 down. Dragons will push for that kill. He does get it, but there is a trade out. Nastiques to save the day there and get the revive on the go. Is that a Boltok shot again, perhaps, from Cougars? That was really damaging, that. On Nastiques, and he will be stunned. Slaps pushing up now on the right. Ricardo will hold the right hand, though, and pick up the kill. And they do need to find this second kill on Hydra, and Ricardo does exactly that. The points are really not in PhantomT's favor. They do need to get some more kills. They need to get set up on hills, as they will not win off 2.
Not quite enough. TamTam happy to sit on this 1-cap because it'll do them just enough to get this win through. Relatively close, though, in fairness. Only about, what, the 5-second break? Something along those lines that should turn the tide.
Ooh.
Oh, well played by Rowdy. Now going to start making this push through. He might not be able to walk through that Lancer Fire, though. Needed to make the push. The rest of the team not there to help him out, unfortunately. This will be around the TamTam, you would think. Looking unlikely that PhantomT are going to be able to make this push, and it will continue to be locked in. Ricardo just playing for kills. Not going to find any of those either. 2-2 now. Very much more of a game than it looked like it was going to be in the first 2 rounds, but TamTam bounced back.
Yes, they do. And to echo your sentiment earlier, I think a round ago, TamTam will definitely be looking to win this one, right? Regardless of, you know, the experience they have on previous games, which I was talking to earlier before the match. I think PhantomT will really be perhaps looking forward to control and execution if they can get to that. The question for TamTam is the fact that they really want to win this map so that they can go into control and execution feeling a bit more, you know, at ease, perhaps. They historically, right, are the better escalation team over PhantomT, and they probably, their first week back, don't want to leave anything to chance, right? They don't want to just leave it to control or execution. They're aware that PhantomT have probably got a lot more game time as a team on those modes. So this is very important for them. Perhaps quite a bit of pressure on TamTam, actually, to secure this first map.
Shots by Ricardo. If he could have found that second one with that second shot, that would have been something else. He's going to fall down, though, and now the rest of the team here from TamTam seemingly heating up a little bit as we head into the second half. And as mentioned, it could be potentially important. Every map is important, the best out of 3, don't get me wrong, but you definitely feel like PhantomT, as mentioned, absolutely have more experience when it comes to these other 2 game modes that we have introduced, of course, in execution and in control. TamTam, of course, every single player on this roster was absolutely electric at escalation. It was the main and only game mode. They are going to fall down here, though, and F will be locked in by PhantomT. Looks like any overextension coming in over towards D will be met by the players of TamTam coming in off spawn. Dragons making this push a scary individual. Vision is going to fall. Good shots from Dragons. Can he find a second one as well? The backup's starting to come through here now. Defense from TamTam. Win condition does belong to them as well. Big fight coming up in the grand scheme of things for this round. It's just clean shots from Dragons and the rest of the team. TamTam will lock this one in and start putting a bit more pressure on over towards F.
Not sure why Nastiques has held that for so long. He did have some time to try and get away there, but nonetheless, Vision holding his ground, but the chain revive Only the revive will come in. What a wrap shot that was from Hydron. Beautiful stuff. And now he's got the angle down onto the hill as well. Can spot the players as they come in. Numbers clearly in favor of TamTam, and bar a miracle, they should win this round. Even Vision knows he can't even reach it in time. 3-2 TamTam. And again, a lovely push out of spawn. 3 rounds in a row for TamTam. And I think I'm getting a little bit of deja vu here. I think it was 2-0 for PhantomT, right?
Yeah.
Last week. And then TamTam, EXES then just swept them away.
I think you're right. Incredible from them to come out the gates like they do, but they need to bring the consistency, you could argue, when it comes to escalation. Things starting to get a little bit more spicy when it does come to the weapons that have been placed down. Incense now available as well. Big for the fight over towards F. That's where you would imagine the majority of this is going to be concentrated to kick things off. Both teams heading in that direction.
Incense for both teams now, of course. Ricardo leading the offensive here over at the F hill. Oh, that was beautiful. What an insend over the top there. But here comes Hydron with the double, quickly equalizing the numbers, and Vision will get picked off as well. And so far for me, Chris, Hydron has been performing very well individually, right? He's had a few great plays, and you know, it just shows, right? You can take a month off the game entirely, but when you have that much experience, that much skill, and that level of smarts to you, you can really just return to the game and perform amazingly off the rip, right?
Lapsenko trying to lock this in. Well played. That should be a domination. Don't think Riley's going to get there, and if he does, well, that's probably just denying the inevitable. Mystique's in that quick. Oh, he is. Oh, nearly. Oh. Very, very
so
close. 4 in a row for TamTam now. This is a dangerous proposition for PhantomT. But as mentioned, we've said a couple of times, we do feel as if TamTam, it's maybe a little bit more important for them to win this map.
Yeah, it most certainly is.
Yeah.
It's even psychological, right? Even if TamTam are fully confident in their ability to perform in the new modes, they'll just want to get escalation, done. They you can't just have a few weeks off, not have much experience on the new modes, and then come into it as confident as you are on escalation, right? Against a team that's perhaps the underdog in this affair historically on escalation, but they're not too far off, right? And they don't underestimate the individual capability, surely, of PhantomT when you have the likes of Ricardo there. So this is 100% really important for them to win out.
Ricardo's trying his best to stay alive. Hit some really good shots. Oh, Visions couldn't clean it. Oh, the insend. Oh, that's well placed from Cougars, who will continue to push forward. Death Dancer now. A precarious spot heal will be dropped as well. This is looking like potentially round number 5. Mystique's not quite as accurate. He will be back down. The insend does little to nothing. Although maybe it has kept them off it. Keeps them out of the cover on the point at least anyway, so they're not going to be able to get it quite as easily as they would have liked. Cougar's going to fall. Vision with some good shots on the Dragons as well, but he will be traded out. Hydron continuing this push, although probably deemed not too wise, and he will be dealt with. Nonetheless, TamTam still in control, but not as strong of a hold as they did have on it.
I think European gears, right, on Vazgar, the second half, just plays out similarly each and every time. It seems like this is the meta of how to play. You just push between the F and the D hills constantly, and the E hill is kind of just one hill you visit now and then, right? It seems clear as day to me now, and it was very much playing like this last week with EXES and PhantomT. I think right now, TamTam have just got the momentum on their side in the shotgun department, because that's all this side is about right now. And PhantomT really need to pull themselves up now and get back into this game.
This one-win condition is there. So quite substantial, although it will be halved if TamTam can get a hold of D. Mystique says no momentarily, at least anyway. Nice shots coming through. Finds the second as well. Is going to be able to do much about that, and now Death Dancer going to have to win this fight, and does. Would have been a potential triple cap coming on through, although the spawns towards F are in PhantomT's favour. Scoreline not so much. Win condition will be though. Although, Hog team, there you go. We'll lock it in. TamTam still with work to do.
No, certainly so. Death Dancer, of course, saving the day on the EGL, perhaps before. They will need to try and get this F hill back. Death Dancer has been taken out. Speaking of that player. There's a 2v3 on the F hill. Shot grenade thrown in. Not going to lead to too much. As players just wait to come off respawn. Again, Ricardo's going to be staggered this time as well. You really just can't get staggered when you're on the verge of perhaps getting triple cap, especially over by the E-Hill. Look at these players all scattered around the smoke. Still, the numbers are on TamTam's side. A second kill comes through, make that another 3 seconds on the clock, and Ricardo is the last one remaining. This should be all she wrote for Vazgar. No player will even spawn in time. GG. TamTam will take this 5-2, and literally 5 rounds in a row.
It's another ring in the hat potentially being thrown in here. All the weekly open series prizes. TamTam looking good on escalation, which is, in fairness, a mode that you would expect them to look good on. After a few years of play, of course, at the highest level, it's very much going to be their bread and butter. But question's going to lie. How do they look in control? How do they look on execution? 2 very different maps coming up next here, Toby, and potentially a third, of course, if we do need it. But PhantomT very much not out of this one yet. They'll look at how they played last week when it comes down to execution. I do believe they actually went on to win. Actually, no, they might have lost it in the final round. I can't remember. Either way, it was close on Gridlock specifically. But I don't know. It's really, really hard to say which way this one's going to go now. But PhantomT will, as I said, be feeling more confident heading into the new modes, you would think.
I think so. And they have plenty of experience in District, I want to say. Unfortunately for PhantomT, though, that map really did play out like one large shotgun team fight in the end there, and it was clear to me who had the leg up in that sense. It was not just the rounds, but also the manner of how they were playing out. Just constant team fight victories with just only shotguns involved for the most part. Hydron was playing really well as an individual, pulling off excellent plays, excellent pushes on his own. Dragons clearly was hitting his shots and looking as snappy as ever. Clearly he's not feeling rusty in any shape or form. And the big 1vs over at the E-Hill as well, where Death Dancer and Ricardo were taken out. Clearly pressure isn't getting to them, despite the weight on that first map of Vazgar. So unfortunately for PhantomT, it looks like they've come to play have their opponents, and so PhantomT, they need to be a little bit better in that shotgun department going into control. Otherwise, they could find, despite the experience, they simply are just going to get locked out of the map, spawn blocked, and really contained quite easily by this roster.
Yeah, and I think all can be said about, blocking the spawns and make sure you're rotating in the right time on control. But if you're getting outslayed, you're getting outslayed. And it's not the most important thing, but it is important in a certain degree, isn't it? Of course, you do still need to be there on a certain kind of level at least. So it is interesting heading into control. And it's going to be District as well. And I know that obviously we've seen a lot of Nexus. We haven't seen too much of Regency on the stream specifically. But would you like to explain in terms of District and Nexus how this one plays differently? Because it does seem maybe just as quick as Nexus, but maybe not as simple on the rotations.
Yeah, District and Nexus definitely like their own category. They're the small, more chaotic maps. Shorter sightlines for the most part as well. Yes, Nexus has got some really long sightlines, but they'd not typically use, one spawn to the other, for example, one end of the map to the other, like you would see on Regency. And as a result of that, especially with, the 7-second respawn timer, it can be really chaotic and really, fast paced. If you are outslaying your opponent on District or Nexus, you can continually snowball that into more kills, continually stagger them. Unlike on, say, a Regency, right? You might get a kill somewhere on the map, but you won't be able to reach the enemy team before everyone's up because it's just too far away, so you can't continually stagger them as a result unless you work as a team and the other team is just walking into no man's land or something, right? So it's kind of like a unique dynamic there. One player can make a huge difference on District Nexus if they're having a really good game, and just continually keep the other team staggered in the slaying department. But on Regency, you'll perhaps need a little bit more teamwork in order to achieve that. And so, question is, are they going to utilize the green and blue rooms today on Control PhantomT to keep players staggered and keep the map control? Or will they get outslain, right? And it doesn't matter whether the spawns are being blocked appropriately by the other team. They're just not going to have enough numbers to challenge the hill If it was escalation, you'd get triple capped or blocked out of the map, you know, spawn trapped almost. On this, you'll just lose points as a result directly because of that single hill. So yeah, slaying power clearly matters, especially on these two smaller maps like District.
I do like a bit of District. Here we go then. These initials will certainly be interesting. Will both teams posture and wait for the break to come through here in the middle, or is it just going to be a firefight straight off the rip? I'm hoping for option number B. Number B? Option B there. I need more coffee. I think my missus probably kick off if I asked her to bring me one, but it might be worth it at this point, Toby.
Control will wake us up, I'm sure, with just how fast it plays out. And look at it, the kill feed is blue. Immediately, Cougars has been able to pick up the Torpo in the center. Hydron has gone from that 1v over at the nades. So despite the hill being down bottom, you know, both teams kind of prioritizing different areas of the map to get the power weapons for the pushes. But that bandstand control will benefit PhantomT for starters. Hydron will trade one out. Dragons and Nestiques for the big 1v to try and set up on the hill. And no, Cougars will flank one player and Vision will get Dragons again. Ooh. The 1v will continue, but that Boltok can be lethal in the right hands. Of course, think about Crimsons with that weapon as a really good example of that.
Yeah, Cougars has been hitting these shots, and there you go. Around the cover as well. The grenade comes in. That'll pretty much finish one off and butter one up. I think that dancer has any chance of surviving this one. Good start for TamTam though. Aggression coming in. Going to pick up plenty of time here as well. We're thinking about the rotation. That's going to start coming in next. And of course, something to mention, Toby, the esports rules will be coming out through this week, I believe, for Control. So we'll keep an eye on how they lie as well. I'd like to think, you know, we'll give them a go, as will the community.
Yeah, definitely so. You know, the mitigation, DBNO, like escalation, you'd expect that to be in there for testing, right? That would be a big difference, you know, in how things play out. But also the power weapons, right? Power weapon swaps might be coming in. Not too sure about that, but I know the ammo is being reduced on some weapons and the respawn timer is increased on a number of others. It could make a big difference. And of course, a player was being timed out earlier on the bandstand, right? I think that was Death Dancer, right? He was just being held down for quite a while. There's going to be the suicide option, I believe, to prevent timing out for too long on this mode, which is also a very interesting factor. And it's great to see, right? TC are really paying attention to try and make Control work as an esports mode.
It definitely has the potential, 100%. So far, though, TamTam kind of disproving our theories, at least anyway, that PhantomT would have come to this one the hotter on Control. Very much the talent is still there. It's a fairly simple concept. As we can see this time around, PhantomT are going to get themselves set up. Spawn-wise, though, where are they spawning here if they do fall down? That's an interesting topic. Push coming through from Slaps. Can't find it. Hill's just going all the way of PhantomT and trying to push this out now to get a hold of the spawns if they potentially can. Shots coming through from Dragons, who will have to back on down, and PhantomT have the side of the map that they want.
Yeah. Short spawn typically is up top. That's preferred, right? But the team of TamTam will spawn down bottom. Nades in hand of Dragons right off that pillar. Not going to connect with anyone as Nestiques does find one. And they've got the cross from blue as well. Have PhantomT just rotating round. This is going to be a really big push for TamTam to try and get out. Unfortunately, Vision has the angle from behind. Hydron is stuck in the middle. And PhantomT have done a much better job on this hill. You know, the early rotation from the nades after losing has helped them out a lot. And Slaps and Co are starting to be outslain just a little bit. And now with 45 seconds left in the hill, you know, definitely a push is on the card still yet for TamTam before thinking about the rotation. And they've got the short spawn and they've got the spawn control that we're used to for District. Question is, can they push out blue or they're going to just push on through to the hill?
Straight to the hill they go. 30 seconds remaining here. Vision hitting shots with the talk. Well, that's an easy one. No, he doesn't make it stick though. And Cougars will find the kill. That's a solid 20 seconds or so going to go over towards TamTam now.
The race is on now.
Coming through, yeah.
20 seconds on the clock. Everyone's rotating. I think PhantomT beat them on one side. TamTam have run straight across the center to try and beat them to the hill. Cougars is there. Might be outnumbered. No, Dragons is there to help out. As a nade, is that a nade thrown in? Or flashbang, Ricardo has been taken down, or damage from one side. An absolute scrap now for the remaining kills. Slaps will get one, Death Dancer on his own. And Dragons just about cleaning it up in the end. Now for Nastix, he's been able to get the spawn, so TamTam can't set up as preferably, but he does need to wait for his teammates before pushing on in. So players as slow as he can, perhaps, to wait for everyone to get on board.
Fight continues, though. Hydron's the only one to find something on the side of TamTam, but he's found more than something. That's a couple of kills going to go over towards Hydron. Contesting this as long as he can as well. Vision is probably weaker than Hydron is. That's another big kill going to come through. Very, very well played. Getting kill after kill there, Hydron. And point after point for TamTam. It's now coming closer to a 100-point lead against PhantomT here. You need this map. They need to see an execution if they want to see another grand final.
That they do. So far, the story of this map is TamTam have just kept on staggering them. They kept on pushing. They keep on maintaining the numbers advantage regardless of where the hills are. And they haven't been out-rotated just yet either. PhantomT have had an excellent push on these on this corner hill. Most difficult one to push, that and the other town for sure. And to be honest, there's no reason as to why Slap shouldn't push that, because the next hill is the center hill. A lot of setups aren't all that advantageous on this hill, but we know from experience, right, from last week, this hill is huge if you are able to gather the points in the center. But to really get them, you have to just continually slaying your opponent as you're in between the middle of bandstand, frags, blue and green.
Oh, Dragons. Finds one. He has the help of his teammate here as well, who's going to deal with Ricardo, and there comes Slaps to deal with Death Dancer as well. TamTam playing this one very, very nicely. Cougar's going to survive after all that as well. Hard one to bear for PhantomT. It's about 110-point difference.
Decisions. Cougars will find the push. Dragons will get the Talkborn Vision as he tries to flank blue. Ricardo's left on the fountain with nowhere to go. Again, TamTam just continually staggering PhantomT no matter what. And for me right now, this push from PhantomT is just too fast, right? Just wait for your teammates that are going to spawn on bandstand. They have to spawn on bandstand as it's right behind you. Unfortunately, Nestix and one other was pushing forward already from the start instead of just waiting for their teammates. So it's kind of like two 4v2s, right? As a result, you have to wait. Otherwise, you're just staggering yourself for no reason. And with the slaying power that TamTam have put on for us so far today, mistakes like that will certainly cost you.
Yeah, it's really a kill feed that's lighting up blue consistently as well. That's going to cost you at the same time. If you're not on the slaying department level, then it makes things ever so more difficult. But if you can find yourself a nice little break, all it takes is 4 kills to maybe try and get yourself back into this game. 75 points at a time on each of these rings, and well, 75 points wouldn't find PhantomT in much better of a spot, but 60 to play for here down low. TamTam can end it here. PhantomT kind of need to find themselves a really big hold on one of these hills very, very shortly.
Now, this has been gorgeous from Vision, at the speed at which he's been playing at, but also keeping it safe with his pushes. But they had the short spawn. Unfortunately, they didn't keep hold of that. And as a result, TamTam have been able to push on straight from the spawn down to the hill. Vision still putting in shots. His teammates are around him. Ricardo with an excellent flank through green as well. And Hydron, he's rotated for that torp bow, but just a little bit too late for the party. Rightfully will get back and keep his life. While still keeping sightline on the hill with this power up on this torp bow. With 25 seconds to go, question is, do you rotate for the next hill? It's a really important hill because it's the opposite Talon, one which is quite easy to set up on, or are you going to continue playing for the 15 seconds? Looks like for both teams, actually, it really is the latter. They won all of these points. They want to continue scrapping and see if the kills they can get will give them the leverage they need on the next hill.
Not so bad of a hold here for PhantomT, though, as mentioned. A little bit more interesting. See how things are going to play out now.
they've been beaten to the rotation though.
No, that's the problem.
2 players, they're going to try and use the nades to get through the front door. Vision flies on through. A little bit too quick perhaps. Nesteeks will come in straight after. Will get the kill. Full red, Death Dancer and Ricardo joining the party, but TamTam are rotating off that spawn side to fight on the hill. Dragons will pick up another. Full red on the front door. TamTam again win that team fight, and this could be the final hill of the map, of which they have been extremely dominant on. Cougars of the angle from blue. And I believe a shot from Hydron as well to the left will ensure PhantomT are essentially locked out of the map now on this side.
Yeah. I mean, the question's kind of been answered for us already, though, hasn't it? Are they going to be able to compete on these other game modes? Has the practice been there? Well, even if it hasn't, they can definitely compete. TamTam looking very, very solid here, and just the pure slaying power, a little bit much yet for PhantomT, you find. PhantomT, once again, turning up, proving themselves a very solid team, but this time around, TamTam will get it done and find themselves in the grand final. The first time of asking. 10 minutes and 45 seconds is what it took of map number 2 after 5 in a row on Vasgar and map number 1. And there you go. TamTam walk away as winners of their series 2-0 and set themselves up in the grand final, probably against EXES Esports. That should be very, very interesting, Toby, but a good game out of TamTam there.
Really, really good game, right? In terms of score, I guess it was a bit like Vasgar in the way, right? Half of the points that PhantomT got half the points that TamTam had in the end, both on Vasgar, pretty much 5-2, right? And then just there, not even reaching 150, I think, just off the mark, kind of like 120, 130 area. And I guess that goes to show, right? You know, that things were a bit more predictable than perhaps we wanted to think they were, right? The better team definitely won today. They were outslaying on Vasgar, and then it continued into control. Some criticisms I had of PhantomT in terms of the rotations and things. You know, I'm definitely not the control expert, but it's clear to see if you're running into a 2v4 at times, it's not going to be a good idea when you've got 2 players just spawning up in literally 2 seconds. And some rotations they were beaten to as well. TamTam beating them to a lot of that, unfortunately for them. And I think just all of that adds up, right, to the scoreline that we saw. And it's clear as day that TamTam are ready to go into the grand final.
Yep. Things will be very, very interesting if this team do continue to play, because they look good with not much competitive experience in those modes. Hopefully we get to see how they're going to do in their execution. We will get to see that in a grand final, which will be coming up next. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very, very shortly with the grand. Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Open Series week number 3, split number 3, and we are into another grand finals. EXES Esports once again are here, but this time around going up against TamTam. Some very familiar faces, some not so familiar in this split so far. Team necessarily here, Toby, but we're very excited for this grand finals nonetheless.
We are. I mean, just after what we saw TamTam do, right? It being their first week on the 3 new modes together. I'm excited to see how this plays out. I honestly am. EXES, I've been tweeting about it. I've just looked dominant each and every week. Actually, in fact, going back before even the 3 modes, EXES were winning the overwhelming majority of the control tournaments that we were having when we were first testing out the mode, whether it's worth even, bringing to EGL in the first place, right? And they were dominant in that too. So, I mean, EXES have it on paper, right? Historically, competitively, they you take that PhantomT experience point, you bump it up a gear, it really goes in towards their favor. But TamTam were looking very good there on control, and likewise as good as ever on escalation. So I'm excited to see how this one plays out.
Yeah, very, very excited to see how it does play out. But both these two teams are, they're very high caliber. Everybody on these rosters kind of deserves to be in this spot. This is the kind of competition we did expect to be coming into in these grand finals between these sort of teams. And, it's nice to see some of the bigger names making a run back at it and coming straight up to the top once again. It's a very, very interesting game, Toby, but I think you're right. EXES Esports very much the favourites, but hopefully we are nearly ready to get into the game shortly. It should be an interesting one. We're just going to run through the maps as well. It's going to be Training Grounds, Checkout, District, Vasgar, Gridlock. So obviously Training Grounds on Escalation, Gridlock, Checkout then coming in for Execution, District, Control, Vasgar, Escalation, and then of course Gridlock Execution coming through to finish things off if we do need it. How many maps do we need here, Toby, do you think? How many? Putting you on the spot.
I want to say 4. I was looking at this, I just think 4 to my mind, because I don't think it'll be a 3-0, right? I just don't see it happening. But for some reason, we don't get the final map in just my gut reaction.
Yeah.
But when I start thinking a bit more with my head, these two teams they're so closely matched at this point in time, based on what we just saw from TamTam and perhaps their motivation coming in today, it being the first week back. And they're kind of just like highly rated, but with Hydron instead of Marsh, right? They pretty much are, right? So I wonder if we can get to a map 5. When I start thinking in my brain, I think it could actually happen. And I hope we do. Honestly, Gridlock Execution would be a really cool tiebreaker after what we saw last week of PhantomT and EXES. Of course, a 1-round difference in that first to 6. That was really enjoyable, and I hope we see it. I really do.
Well, for all you lucky lot who have got multiple tabs open at this moment in time, it is indeed 2021. It is, of course, time for the skin this week, and as you can see on your screens, it is going to be the Mace Team Phantom skin this week available. So make sure you do complete your quests that are coming up. If you're watching at live.gearsofwar.com, make sure you are, and make sure you do get this one completed. Pretty lovely. We love to see that. Thank you for everybody who has come to hang out, and that is your reward for doing so. Hopefully you stick around for the rest of the show. It should be an interesting grand finals, as mentioned. Look, I think it's going to take a couple of weeks for TamTam to kind of get up to scratch here. And I think it's going to probably show in this one. But we're going to potentially see some close games, which is kind of what we're here for. We know they have the talent. When it comes to kind of, you look at Checkout and you sort of say as an execution map, okay, it's a bit more just, hit each other in the middle, sort of see what happens. Will they be there meeting up with EXES? You would expect so. That you look at the players on this roster, they should be able to hang with them at least in that respect. So there's definitely potential for some maps to come through. But I think if you're a fan of TamTam or even on that team, the expectation level after maybe not too much time practicing won't be too high. I think going at this one, a good showing would set us up very nicely for the next few weeks, Toby.
I think so. On Checkout in particular, these guys are super experienced with it, right? On this map, Executes 3 Dragons. Because we saw even with his Spanish teammates before, right? Well, Dragons wasn't in that team. But you had your classic Fortuns, Legends, of course. And the fact of the matter is, when they can come that close to EXES, just right out the gate, it goes to show that they have a bunch of raw skill, and they also have the Gears 3 experience to go alongside it. I think with this roster, which again is essentially highly rated, right, -1 of what we're used to, they can certainly perform with EXES on that map. I think that will probably be a very close map for sure.
Very close indeed. Well, we're getting into it now. Let's see which way this one's going to go. TamTam against EXES Esports. It's week number 3 of split number 3. There's the grand final once again. First time we've seen really too high, super, and I mean this in absolute no disrespect to some of the other teams, but EXES Esports have, for the most part, had it quite easy. You look at TamTam though, and you definitely say they're a team who can hang with the best, and let's see if they can do it here, kicking things off on escalation. It's going to be an A and B capture. Now of TamTam, EXES Esports will be forced back initially.
Yes, they will. Good job so far from TamTam, and this is exactly the start you kind of need. But unfortunately, Crazed out of nowhere with a double kill, finding 2. Quickly thwarting their attempts from the get-go. Hydron hitting his shots as ever, though. Him and Pains will be fighting for dominance tooth and nail, I'm sure. Well, this for a 1v. Oh, the reload cancel is perfect. Little bounces will find that kill. Already, we're having some really entertaining shotgun fights in this map.
His initial control for TamTam, as mentioned, 60 seconds or so away from that win condition. Fins and Kodo trying to set up over towards B here. You can see they have bridge control. I haven't got what they need to win the round. Just going to go down. Bounces. Forces Dragons away. Very well coordinated. He's going to be dropped there now and does that. Just open things up a little bit more for EXES Esports. Laps in behind will cause some issue. These ARs have been very, very solid on both sides of things, but B eventually is broken. Big fight going on over there, and it looks like EXES Esports are the ones coming out on top. We can see a down coming in from Hydron, but this is an important fight as well. Slaps v Crimson. Slaps has forced him off the cover, but not really finding a great deal, and whilst all that was going on, EXES Esports get a hold of B.
Yeah, they do. Slaps, can he get away? No, the movement will not pay off. Craze will hunt him down and block off his escape. Still snowballing to look if they can find a hill. Pain is lurking. Dragons is aware. The pinch is on. Pain is literally stuck in a corner. If he somehow got out of that, that's insane. Here comes Bouncers on the flank. 2v1 for Hydron. Hydron will just about find Pains, though. And a trade out as Slaps comes off spawn as well, saving the day. It is literally neck and neck, Chris, between these two teams. Everyone is just playing for shotgun fights at every opportunity. And each team is just trying to stagger the other, and right now it's just back and forth in that very department.
Very, very close. This one's currently a COG team win condition, but Hills are currently changing hands. Still there for the COG team. EXES Esports are going to lock in 2 in a second, though. If Pains can stay alive on this one, he will do, but he's going to be very, very weak after locking it in. Swarm win conditions there. Somehow wins the fight against Slaps, with everybody bearing down on him. TamTam, though, still have the opportunity here. B going to be locked in on their side of things, although they probably don't need it. Just keep them off it. 2, 4, 6, 3 seconds away. Nobody there to threaten A. And TamTam, with first blood, warms us up nicely for the rest of the series.
Absolutely so. This is huge for them. I mean, the pressure is on EXES, right? We were speaking about pressure in the last match, but really now the pressure for EXES is for them to perform, is to maintain their dominance. They've had, what, 2 weeks in a row now of, you know, relative ease, I want to say. Yes, they've had to play at full capacity, but they've won, generally speaking, by a, you know, significant map count margin, right? And so they want to continue this dominance, and they want to prove that highly rated can essentially just return from a nice hiatus and then reassert themselves as the best team in Europe. And so the pressure for EXES is on right now, and they do not want to drop any early rounds to TamTam.
Ideally not. Slaps now always put some good shots into both, but will not be able to find a great deal. Dragons around the side is the only one who can answer back. On the other end of the map, though. Now Dragons will be able to make this push on through. Cougars is going to get dropped, and now all of a sudden it's looking like an Esports win. This fight initially anyway. Dragons will do well. They get a great deal out of this. Pushes forward, gets dropped. This is Esports now. Put all their resources over towards B. Slaps is here with Hydron, who is going to get dropped. He is going to get killed. Slaps is going to deal with bounces, but not before the rest of EXES Esports coming on through. Threatening a domination there. C was momentarily being captured, but Cougars to the rescue.
Cougars full red will be dropped. Sea Hill starting to be capped up again. Dragons saving the day, though. But angled out very quickly. They're going to have to chain revive their way through this, pushing one side. Left or right, that's the question. Hydron will turn around and look for it. Big kill coming out from Crazed. Bounces are now going to get involved. Huge shock and fight. Dragons with a damage advantage. And he will find that kill as well. That's B-Hill maintained. And surely that's enough time now for EXES to come, or rather TamTam to come off respawn and try and mount an offensive away from their home hill.
Scoreline, though, is quite telling. EXES Esports have really got a hold of that lead and ran with it. I think it's going to change hands here, though, in TamTam. Get a hold of C. They'll both be in their back pocket as well, but that lead is insurmountable on a 2-cap. 70-second win condition for EXES Esports, and look at this crossfire coming through. Do not drop down towards B or you are literally getting lit up.
Shooting gallery for both teams, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Still the 2-cap there for TamTam, though, so they're looking to try and get a catch up here, Toby, and well, they are going to have to decap A for at least a little while. Well, maybe not too long now. 10-15 seconds would have been enough, but the thing is for EXES here, they can just dictate where they go on the map. Very, very easy for them to shut down the A push, and they should be able to get a hold of B because of this.
Yeah, Payne's starting to move over towards B now. Change of heart, there's the call out, and he will find Dragons over at the A hill. Payne's got so much damage in him now, though. Dragons really in a difficult place to try and equalize that damage. The flash will not help him. Payne's dodges that very nicely indeed, and the score, as you said, is very telling. Huge score lead. No one really near to a hill on EXES. Will fight back in style. What a great shot that was from Cougars, but that initial, right, it's back and forth between the two teams. It was very extended. The respawns had to come in to try and conclude who deserved that map control and that victory there. And so far, kills department-wise, it's quite level between the two teams now.
Very level. I was telling round for EXES, though. Very, very strong. And they keep it up, though, here against very, very solid opposition. It's not really been about the initials, has it? They've just kind of moved around where they've needed to. Using their resources in the right place. Here we go, though, this time around. Bit of a harder fight for EXES Esports to try and force their way into. Shots going to start coming through. Dragon's super advanced forward. We'll have to back on down, but Cougars with some good shots into Pins. Drops him very, very quickly. It's a ring around the rosy in this fight, though. Crimson's, though, last alive, and he will be dealt with as well. Well played it from slaps up on the revive, and now TamTam will make their forceful push through towards C. It's going to be a bit of a fight over towards B, where TamTam have numbers as well.
I think Hydra and Bounces are going to square off time and time again for this B-hill, it seems like. Always neck and neck. And one player trying to gain the edge over the other. Bounces now has to step down to see if he can break this hill. Got Crazed in support. And the rest of the map is right now at a deadlock, which is definitely a new thing to see so far after the first 2 rounds of constant staggering and shotgun pushes. Here we go. Bounces moving up on the left, quickly lit up by Cougars to the right. Hydron's Lancer is also on point. 2 kills now for EXES. Pains will fall as well to Dragons, and with 3 members down, here comes the push for the triple.
Dragons getting aggressive. Crimson's ready and waiting, though. Look at that damage coming out on Crimson. My goodness. It's forced 3 of them backwards momentarily. EXES Esports may be able to get it enough to respawn. They're not going to be able to get towards B here, and it's going to have to be a push over towards C. It looks like they're just about going to be able to make it, but they already put it up on the way in. Hydron and Cougars dealing with them. That's a domination. That is a big round out of TamTam. Oh, we've got a grand final on our hands here, Toby. We've been finishing well before 8 PM most nights, but I'll tell you what, we could be in for a long one here.
That's exactly what I want to see from these two teams. This is epic for me. I was trying to think of a word to describe this, but TamTam really, it's so significant, them coming back after such a huge break. We're even approaching almost the halfway mark of the split, right? We're almost there. And so this is a huge moment for in the entire split. It will set us up the result today to see what we can actually expect to see going forward for the remainder of the split, and to see both these teams going head to head and be so close is really a marvel.
Flaps pushing forward now. Trying to get some B control.
Crazer's running. Oh, no, he's not. Double back. Not going to work out. Cougars will keep his distance. And now that double insend from Dragons on the U very quickly determines the winner of that fight for map control. Cougars already leveraging that with a Lancer from Overlook. And the B hill captured by Hydrone and co. early on as well. So I think so far, from what we've seen on camera, Hydrone has really been the one with the edge in that 1v1 situation almost with little bounces. So shout out to him. Really showing up today after his short break from Gears. And now the counter from EXES. They're pushing up top. 1v3. Slap just holding his ground for as long as he can. Cannot stay alive any longer as they push on through. Likewise, TamTam will hear the call out. They'll overextend from the B hill onto the enemy's home hill as every player tries to gain some semblance of control elsewhere.
TamTam with a slight lead in the win condition, of course, on a 1 cap a pet. 1 cap a piece, I should say. 1 cap a pet. Honestly, get shining up with that coffee. In being controlled up for TamTam now. And EXES Esports will have to fight back here. In danger of going 3-1 down. Oh my goodness me, Dragons. There's one. Oh, the second's coming as well. Don't give him the third. Don't give him the third. Pins against Dragons. My goodness me, how has Dragons survived for so long and found those kills? He's still going, you will roll into him, but... I mean, just even the distraction, the fact that they have to put so much in to just getting rid of that one player. Ludicrous.
Fucking bites we've seen so far have been really exquisite from players.
Yeah, TamTam really at the races here. This is a dominating round. That one's done. 30 seconds to go. Nothing that EXES Esports can do about that one. They just got smoked. 3-1.
And it all started with that double insend from Dragons, right? Didn't speak to it too much at the time, but that was huge. And it clearly led on to a snowball and a staggering of players for the remainder of that round. And it's given a 3-1 lead now to TamTam. And this all-important first map. And EXES, again, lots of pressure on their shoulders today. They will really, really want to be looking to win this first map to set themselves up for a best of 5.
Into the next round then, and of course into half-time. Points change over and see how this initial is going to go. And sends out. No casualties just yet, but where is the damage? Perhaps is feeling like it's on the pins because he's trying to get a hold of the kill as best he can. He's done well to pick it up before he does fall, but the rest of TamTam here to play. EXES Esports cannot deal with them on these initials at the moment. It's no surprise to see, though, with players like Dragons, players like Slaps, how the EXES Esports the past couple of weeks got maybe a little bit comfortable. As TamTam are making things anything but that. Hydron is going to back up from this fight, or they're just going to continue it to try and force this domination to come in through. Very, very early Slaps and Cougars with the downs, though, and Hydron just sitting back, putting the damage down. Is this round done? Everybody's starting to fall, and that is just a blue kill feed. Toby, you didn't even get a chance to speak, and the round is over. 4-1.
59 seconds. TamTam are certainly here to play. And are serious as ever. Everyone is doing such an incredible job. It's surprising. I'll admit, I never would have thought that EXES, upon the return of TamTam, would be this far down in round count in an escalation or any map for that matter. And their response is literally to throw a drop shot down up top. They're going all in on this team fight up top, and they have to win 4 rounds in a row now, which looks bleak at this point in time with how well TamTam are playing. Oh. Gorgeous fight there from Crimson to the start. 3 kills immediately. Not missing those shots. And now the rotation over. Drop shot on his back. Pistol in hand for now, but really has to be careful. First one is a swing and a miss. Slaps, meanwhile, will find Pains. Crimson's there to help out with a meat shield, but... Oh, Cougars as well, taken down. Crimson's just backing himself into a corner, right? Using meat shields as his only cover. Slaps forced out. Crimson's on the prowl, and with right hand, and the kill will come on through. Crimson's is ruthless. Access have been strong. Very strong this round so far. And still one drop shot to play with.
Looking good, isn't it? And they continue this dominance, though. Seems that way. Dragons is going to fall. Hydra and Cougars falling. That's much better from EXES.
Slaps. Can reach it, but he doesn't know that Crimson's right on the bottom of the staircase. Almost head glitching there on that side. It's not a term you hear often in Gears. Cougars off spawn, just forced to go up to the overlook for cover. Drop shot back in hand. Crimson still utilizing that. But now, speaking of the devil, Crimson's trying to fight back against Cougars, forcing them off. Dragons will find bounces. Numbers advantage goes to TamTam. EXES tried to escape out the back. 1 kill traded, make it another. Crimson's, can he stay alive? Full red, Hydrone. Trying to find that kill, but Crimson's trying to hold the right hand. Hydrone will win that shotgun fight. And he needed to. He needs to push on through now to try and force a triple. Pains is not having any of it.
Not going to happen. TamTam will be forced back in this round, you feel. That should reduce that deficit down. Not going to happen.
Yeah.
EXES Esports get themselves another one. 4-2 now.
I mean, just the drop shot being there just adds so much pressure to both these teams. It makes it even more volatile, right? Whoever wins the initial could very feasibly just overextend and go for that triple. And if EXES can somehow keep that up, then yeah, they can turn this around. But likewise, TamTam just need to win one initial. And they have quite a few opportunities to do that. With the incense gone, though, I think that's advantage EXES. You could argue, given Dragons has been getting kill after kill, sometimes double with the incense on that initial. Let's see.
Let's see now then. Can Dragons do? Can they continue to win this initial? It's kind of been forced away for EXES Esports. You don't want to play it down low towards Y. Forced on the fight up top here towards Hydron. This one is far from over. Just takes one good break though, and well, it looks like the good break's going to come through for EXES Esports. It's only Slaps left there. He should fall, does so. That's momentarily 4 down. Dragons is up and running off respawn. He's going to make the overextension over towards F, so smart play from him to keep his team in the round, but nonetheless, TamTam are on the back foot immediately.
Look at that for a spot from Craze. That angle there just immediately, just sightline finds him. That's really, really cool to see. Look at this, hill-wise, Dragons, that player who was spotted is able to break and prevent the triple for now. EXES look to be maintaining this push. 3 players still around the home hill. They're relying on another player to find Dragons and take him down. And that would be Crazed. No, they will opt out. They're not going to stick to it. They will finally drop out and see if they can get back on their home hill. Dragons is still here, though, getting a kill on one, looking for a second, will not find it. Whilst all that's going on, Hydron's still fighting bounces for the hill. It's literally a slashing fight on the hill, and bounces will stay alive. He'll get the D hill. And TamTam trying to hold on to the E hill, but EXES reinforcements are knocking on the door.
They're all played. And EXES get this round in the bag. It's looking like they should be able to, but look at that on the respawn, I should say. Coming through for TamTam. They should be able to keep a hold of this one, and Cougars has went for the overextension. EXES Esports have really started to turn up in these last couple of rounds. Crimson's going to drop though. Cougars, he's going to force the kill here. Rather than securing anything else. Good shots in, but that's bomb protection. As I was just about to say, one of the players, I would have liked to see Cougars maybe lock in F there before he makes that push, but I don't know, it's one of those.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Cougars was answering really, really well, and I perhaps just overcommitted to that. Really, just could have perhaps more safely just get the cap and then play from there rather than go all in on that kill. But with a score differential, maybe, just maybe, he knew he needed to make something happen on that side of the map. 10 seconds. Access to hold on to the E hill and the F hill. It has been broken, buying a little bit more time, but look at the kills. F hill's changing. Kills coming on through. Cougars will get taken down. And I'm not even sure if he intended to up A his teammate there, I'll be honest. Don't see that often, but there you go. Another round on the board, Chris.
Very, very interesting. 4-3 now. EXES Esports very much back into this one. Just those initials, where TamTam were winning it before, they are suddenly not. And they can't just roll into the rest of the round from that.
Yeah, they have really turned it around. The Incens are back, though, of course, and all it really needs is Dragons to go off with that Incend, and you feel like the initial could just simply go the other way. They've just not had that yet. Can Dragons thrust his team back into the driver's seat with the use of this utility in his hand? Let's see. Such an important throw. Not going to connect. Incend not going to connect for Craze either. Damage out. The U has been won for Access. Craze will be dropped elsewhere by Cougars. But all of a sudden it comes to a stalemate.
I think because TamTam know that the momentum very much is with EXES Esports here. Dragon's going to fall immediately. EXES Esports have just been so much better when it comes to these initials the past couple of rounds, and these are turning around very, very quickly. TamTam were in a commanding position in this game. Was it 4-1?
Yeah, it was. And now suddenly, you said it best. Access have just looked so much better in the last 2 rounds. And they've looked snappy as hell with the reactions mid-round too. When formerly it was TamTam leading the way in the first half. Back to another stalemate. Both teams know this is absolutely crucial at this point, that you make every single push count.
Shots coming in. Dragons forces his way around. Need to start winning fights. Pretty sharpish. It's about a 50-point difference. So there you go, the drop shot. Not only do you lose, of course, the initial. You give that over towards the other team. Cougar's going to do well to find one, but that's all he's going to find. That win condition is going to be cut right in half. 4-3 to TamTam. EXES Esports looking to tie it up and send us to round number 9 here, Toby.
You got to say it. Crimson's has done an incredible job of using this drop shot on his home hill and then quickly rotating back to the E hill with still 1 drop shot left to influence another fight. Look at this. 1 kill. Could have easily been 2. Cougars 2v1 immediately as Crimson's and co does collapse on them. Dragons, nothing to do there. Damaged out. The score difference is huge. Absolutely massive. Nothing for TamTam to do. And just like that, all of a sudden, Chris, we get to a round number 9. From 4-1 down, it comes down to this on the first map. EXES have clawed their way back, but can they finish it off?
Oh my goodness. It's quite a momentum swinging round though, isn't it? I think if you're TamTam, you look at it, you say you were 4-1 up. Should have very easily been comfortably running away with this one, but I don't think you'll care if you do win this one. But if you're EXES Esports, you brought it all the way back, can you finish the job?
That's it, isn't it? Again, Dragons, Incense played a pivotal role in the first half, but we've not seen much of him in the second. Let's see. Incense on either team. How are they looking? Cray's not going to connect. That one will, though. Pains will be taken down immediately. Right hand is gained for TamTam, and EXES know it. They have to bow out. They're going to get angled out otherwise. The initial's lost. The drop shot is lost. The fight does continue, though. They're holding on to the staircase. The drop shot going to be forced. Yes, it is. One is going to be thrown. Crimson's left alive, but the hill is under siege. Is anyone there to block it? F-Hill fight continues. It all comes down to Pains and Hydron strafing his way. Rhodey running. Pains will save on. Save his hill and hold on to this round just about. That was a close one.
Yeah, just about. My goodness gracious. It's the first time TamTam have won an initial in about 4 rounds. That's a deep grenade. And that's a deep drop shot. Crimson's gone. But it's another drop shot just for the 1 kill. I think, you know, if you're EXES Esports, you kind of take that one on the chin. I'm just going to back on down here, but he's been chased down by bouncers. Look at the shots coming in here from Cougars up top, though. Hydron come around the side, looking to try and interject, but Pains is here as well. Hydron's already fallen. Cougars should very much be dead in a second. It is. Look at that break from EXES Esports. Clean as a whistle. They get in control of E. Might be a COG team win condition now, and it's quite a substantial score difference. But look at this. Actually, there's going to be a capture coming in over towards D. There needs to be a fight won somewhere from TamTam. Is anybody there to answer? That's the question. They gotta go, and they gotta go very, very quickly. The breaks come through from Hydra, and they just about hold on.
I think EXES are holding, though. They still want this. Cougars is down. EXES needs to follow up. Yes, they do. Pains with the up A, finds one. And now all of a sudden, just about TamTam are going to hold on. Pains just forced out the back as the respawns do come in just in time. But EXES, thanks to that extended fight, they're going to come in with a score lead very soon, and they're prepared for the drop shot spawn.
Who's going to win this fight? Whichever way it goes, it's probably which way the map goes. He's trying his best to survive. Incense going to be a factor in a second as well. Flaps wins the initial. All of a sudden, it's domination ticking up for TamTam here. Is anybody here to actually stop this from EXES Esports? No, they are not. They don't get there in time. And just like that, the map is over. 5-4 TamTam, and they take a 1-0 lead in this series in the grand final. How is that ended that way?
That is perhaps the closest escalation map I have casted in so long. My good, look at the kills as well. 24 kills on for 2 players on EXES there, and it looked like they were about to triple cap on that very hill. Pain's got that up A. Suddenly there's EXES players everywhere, but TamTam held on, and then all of a sudden quickly the hills change everywhere else too. The overextensions were nuts on that map, and constantly after EXES were playing so well in those last several rounds, TamTam pull out the bag and hold on. That is an absolute gut wrencher for that team in EXES, and my goodness me, going into checkout, it's going to be an interesting one after that. It really is. TamTam were going to be very happy that they were able to claw their way back from that one.
Yeah, considering where TamTam were in that game, 4-1 up, cruising, you sort of think, right, okay, yeah, we got this one in the bag. It's a very good job they actually managed to solidify that one in there, because you talk about momentum, you talk about the mental game, it's not an easy one to come back from. But then in the case of EXES Esports, they'll be kind of saying, look, we nearly completed that comeback there. Where's their head at? And after that, especially with the way that they lost it as well, it just seems like they got caught off guard by TamTam, who managed to hold technically 3v4 over towards that middle side of the D. So very, very well played by TamTam. But questions asked of EXES Esports eventually. Heading into map number 2 here on of course, execution checkout. It's a one that could really go either way here, Toby. It comes down to those initials time and time again. It's going to be very, very fast. We'll be under control very, very quickly, I would imagine. It's a very, very difficult one to sort of ascertain which way it's going to go.
I think so. Judging from how close those two teams were on initials, on triple caps, on that map in general, how close it was, I think checkout could be really interesting, right? It's first to 6 now. Yes, the usual base strat is the 1v1 at frag grenades and the 3 checkout for both teams. But, you'll have to keep a close eye out for the quick picks attempts on the sniper when, the smokes are thrown and the team goes for the quick pick on that side. But you'll also have to keep an eye on the nest pushes if players continually try to climb up in front of their opponents to try and get that quick pick on the incense. And if that doesn't work out, there is still other strats to play with. It's not just the 3-1. I wouldn't be surprised if we see even a 2 nades on this side, maybe even more. As I like to turn the bookcase strat from Gears 3. A lot of teams wanted to trap oftentimes the other team inside the checkout area. If you can take control of the enemy spawn, then you have the map control, arguably, especially if you can get that first kill on nades. I'm curious. I'm really curious to see what both these two teams pull out today. I think judging from that first map, they should be able to discern the fact that this could be a very close best of 5. So they need to pull out all the tricks in the hat that they possibly have.
It could be. We could be here for a while. It's a good job Line of Duty finished a few weeks ago. No spoilers. But of course, we're not going to have to miss out on it this week. By any stretch of the imagination. Although we'll not get into the final. I know it's a contentious subject around people in the UK. Yeah, Matt, the production's just finished and he didn't say whether it was good or not, so I presume that he didn't enjoy it like everybody else. We'll not delve down too far down that rabbit hole, at least.
That's one for time filling, perhaps, at some point.
Potentially, yeah. I'm curious if we need to do any of that, because we're going to be heading into map number 2 in just a second. Predictions for this then, Toby? Because, it's hard to say, because I feel as if EXES Esports, if they could survive that initial in the control up against TamTam there, they were kind of walking away with the round. It seemed as if the rotations, etc., were nicer, but it was about surviving that. When it comes down to execution specifically on this map, it's very much about those initials. And I would say it's a very close one, but I would say it was about 60-40 probably in the favor of TamTam. Those big initial fights, specifically in the second half when we moved over towards E. These are going to be very similar in that respect, nearly every single round. You could be looking at TamTam realistically being 2-0 up here.
It could happen. It definitely is on the table. If EXES don't turn up, I could very well see that happening. But I don't know. If you asked me after that first half, who do you think's winning checkout before the match had finished on training grounds, I would have said TamTam probably, because they're just looking phenomenal in this initial. They're just all playing amazingly. Hydran's winning his 1v over at B Hill. That could have been the 1v at nades on checkout, for example, a similar scenario. But no, after the second half, it looked like EXES just turned it around. Crimson had started coming out of nowhere, playing incredibly well. Bounces was winning his fights. Pains was coming out of, into his usual self as a top slayer in Europe. And I honestly, I still feel like the second half, EXES just clearly dominated there. And it wasn't just all about the initials, as it seemed like a lot of times for the side of TamTam in the first half, in my opinion. I think I would still argue EXES probably have the leg up in that sense. Yes, there's momentum now, which is a really crucial factor, of course. It really matters how these two teams respond to that final round number 9. But based on the second half, I think EXES were doing really well in the shotgun department and the initials, without the incense and whatever else going for them. I'm really interested to see how this one plays out.
The theory crafting can end very, very shortly, as I do believe the game is loading up, and we can kind of get a good idea of which way it is going to go by watching the players, of course. And we haven't seen this one in a couple of weeks, actually, Toby. We've seen it 2 times in a row in week number 1 on checkout. But the first time we're going to get to see it for quite some time. So let's see how it goes. It's very fast. It's very frantic. And into checkout we go.
It's almost quite fitting, actually, that we come to execution second after a map of what seemed like all about the initials. Curious to see which team will be continuing to perform in this area better than the other. Smokes are being utilized from both teams. Very interesting to see. Clear as day, actually, that TamTam are looking for this snipe pickup. They smoked the middle lane as Cougars was getting angled out on the right. Meanwhile, EXES are responding. What a snipe shot that was from Cougars immediately, though. It's almost insane, the action from both teams already. 3v3. Cougars forced to push on one side, and he finds Pain. Sniper on his back, and all the pressure there. The 1v1 has extended this entire time. Slaps versus bounces. And just like that, the round will wrap up. Just as it seemed like TamTam had the strategic advantage, and the smokes and the setup were clearly working in their favor, EXES Esport, that responds through the nest, just almost kept themselves in the round.
Well then, give me a few more rounds of that.
Keep them coming. 3-1 again.
Yeah. Just a similar sort of setup that we do come to expect. Smoke's out, and let's see who comes out on top of the first one, because that usually is a telltale sign how the round's going to play out. Hydron's just going to get pushed by Pains, but the traders are going to come through. Not quite. Crazed is there. Pains gets up, fires the shots back, and EXES Esports seemingly going to answer back in devastating fashion. Slaps really can't do a great deal here, and that is a 1v4. That is a 1 apiece.
Advantage taken from Pains, right? It's those minute plays that can really separate your team from the other at this level of play, right? The unpredictable push that can be made can mean a huge difference. Really, really incredible to see. And Pain just taking the initiative there on that push.
Flash is going to go out. Shot's going to come through. Good Lancer round coming in from Crimson's. Looks as if TamTam are going to be forced back here just by sheer damage coming down. Pains will get a hold of the sniper because of all this pressure. Oh, the shot doesn't quite land for Dragons. Not enough damage to get it done, but I mean, after all of that, we've only seen 1 down come through. It's still a 4v4.
Oh, big down. Big down. That's going to give TamTam access to the lower lane. As access would have to move across to the right. Map control, of course, clearly in the hands of Crimsons. Look at this for bounces. Pushing up 3v3. No business ever does Slaps have in allowing himself to die there. Bounces with the angle on the Dragons, who's run out of downs. And just like that, thanks to this player, he's got his team back into the game. 3v1. Craze will get the kill elsewhere. And just like that, that's the beauty of execution. You can be out of the numbers game. 1 player down, just 1 smart play with a little bit of support can make a huge difference.
We do believe the map is glitched for the weapons. I think that's the case. We haven't seen
the overhead. Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
You think that's
I think
the case,
so.
At least, anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. This round, Pains. Perfect flash. He's got 2 players stunned. Is he going to go on this? Those players rolled off. He's so weak, though. And 1 flank from this can happen. Crimson's have to come in support. Not able to get there in time as Dragons gets the down and rolls out. Crazy within the Oh, Cougar's out of nowhere, flies into Crimson's, catching him off guard. Pains quickly will retaliate and get the numbers back. 2v3. And now they need to find Slaps if they can at all. Pain's got a little bit of Lancer fire in, but unfortunately his teammate bounces need to be a little bit quicker, pushing up on that side.
How has he even found that?
That's nuts. That is crazy. Oh, he's stuck. He is stuck. That kill will come on through. Nowhere to go. Nade thrown in. Bounces. Will not find the kill there. 1v2. And stuck in spawn.
Yeah, not ideal. And it's best to survive here, and well, TamTam can come chase if they want, but the ring, of course, will spawn up very, very shortly, and this is the beautiful thing that's been brought into Execution 2.0. If you have bounces, you can maybe just hold, or TamTam, you know, they've got the numbers advantage here. The push does have to come through from somebody. If your bounces, you just try and isolate one of the players as best you can and then go from there, and that is not going to work in that sense. Very well played from TamTam, though. They set up the angles. That's 2 apiece now.
2 apiece between these 2 teams. A lovely ground. Again, Pains just kills out of nowhere, and I think, you know, a player like that can really make a huge difference in execution on a map like this. He almost just saved the round if he wasn't trapped by those insends in the corner. Strat-wise, anything changing? No. Both teams confident they can win in this intricate fight. Inside checkout. 3v3. Oh, that's an excellent Lancer down, but Crimson's will support his teammate and save the day. 4v3. Look at this from Crazy. Pushes down the mid lane to collapse with the numbers. It is spot on. Everyone in EXES is working closely together. The chemistry is clearly present in front of us. And now Slaps is all alone in tech.
That's not an ideal spot. Pains will come through. 3-2.
That was gorgeous again from EXES. Both these teams really are just putting on a clinic as to how to play this checkout. Such fast responses to downs or kills in order to keep their team in it, because that's the thing. If you just leave the numbers escalate and either team to really leverage the numbers advantage, they'll just angle you out and you'll be dead in no time. It's the ability to respond in those chaotic, difficult moments that will set yourself apart from the best of the best.
Big fight here. On towards the snipe. Hydron going to take a lot of damage. Crimson's wise to the push from Dragons, who's going to be in a dangerous spot, and Crimson's gets a position to deal with him, puts some good shots into Kugas as well, but equally answer back. Kugas pushes over the top, maybe a little bit overzealously, and Crimson's will clean up the push that comes through. Not an ideal spot for slaps. EXES 4-2 up.
Crimson's again. Amazing, amazing stuff. Cougar's almost, of course, saving the day, but teamwork was just on EXES side again. If you're going to jump up onto Nest, you have to be very careful. You don't stay there long, or you're able to bounce the shot that will inevitably come through. High risk, high reward play. Didn't pay off for Dragons that. 3-1 strat once more for both these teams. Kane's in a little bit of trouble, but he... Oh, my goodness. He must have seen something there through the smoke. The blind fire, assuming a player would push while he's weak. That is intuition and it's at its finest. Craze will push out one. Slaps in his own again in tech. And EXES really are coming to play now. They really are starting to master this Nest fight. And the damage push there. And even just that push from Crazed, right? Through the middle checkout. The damage is called out. The advantage is there. And Crazed was allowed to run on through. No one contesting him. Him essentially outplaying his 1v, if you will, on the far checkout side, the sniper side. And everyone is working so well together for this side.
Glorious from EXES Esports here. 5-2. It's first to 6 now. Hydron with the shots in. It would take quite the comeback for TamTam to find themselves going 2-0 up in this series. Is looking more and more likely. Things are going to be tied up. Hydron shots into Crazed.
It's looking for the flank.
Yeah,
it's been caught out.
Not going to be able to find it. Cougars are going to be able to trade this one away, though. Crazed is going to drop. Now a 2v4 for EXES Esports. Try and come up with a round. The 1v4 for Crimson's. Well, he's dead to, well, the Ember. Turns out the map wasn't glitched.
That's the first time they picked it up.
I wouldn't like to comment.
Nor me.
Yeah.
I mean, 5-3 at this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
It's
if nobody complains, let's just get on with it, I suppose.
We're at 1 round away potentially of the map finishing. It's not made played a role at any point really. Amber, first time it's picked up. Let's see. Again, it's the fight for Nest. Both teams trying to jump up and see what they can play for. Crimson's down in the process though. Quickly EXES a force, or rather, oh my goodness me. Look at this for some shotgun fights. Pains will be downed out. Craze in trouble. 2v4, stuck on his own. Slaps really has to push his 1v. Or rather, Bounces does. He does find it. 1v3, and he's been able to get into cover. But the clutch scenario remains difficult at this level.
Yeah, super difficult. And what's going through your head here, Toby? Like, what's the play? It's got to be the single out. Yeah, it's got to be the single out Hydron.
1v, and you have to do it before they pinch you, essentially. You have to go as fast as you can. It was the same story in Gears 3 when you had the strength of that Lancer and the stopping power, the range of the Nashia. Clutching was just as equally as difficult. And Hydro knows from experience he is not allowing Bounces getting anywhere near him in a shotgun apartment, in the shotgun range. Rather, just Lancer him out, playing it extra cautiously. 5-4 now. Surprise, 3-1 again from both teams.
Yeah, no change up really, is there?
Really committing to it. They just it's all about this checkout fight. They're all just trying to gain an advantage to a different strategy within the checkout itself, which I can understand as all the rounds have really varied up, to be honest. It's been more about proactivity and response rather than a outright initial strat change. Have used the incense now, have TamTam to try and get that quick pick on the snipe. You saw the player was positioned for the angle. Cougars this time, though, is going to get the angle, and Crimson's pushed up to the right-hand lane. Very precarious situation for him. Has to be careful. Dragon's pushing all the way through. Cougars has to follow up, and boy, does he do it, getting the 1 kill. Craze getting taken down in the process. Cougars tries to get the advantage on the side. The wrap will not come on through. It's a quick race to the revive chain for both teams. 3v3. Bounces has been able to pick up the nades in his fight, leaving Slaps completely unaware. And look at this. Oh, this fight is extended.
Yeah. How on earth is it still 3v3? Oh, look, they're looking for bounces.
They've called the number. They know where he is.
Yeah.
But Pains is trying to rotate across with his teammate on toe.
Can't imagine anyone's going to go for the mulcher. Or is it the mulcher?
Yeah, it is the mulcher.
Look at my gears knowledge. Anyway, here we go. Overtime starting in 20 seconds.
Where is the ring? It's hard to see in the spectator system at the moment, but I think it could be in tech. Explain an EXES Esports position.
That's a lot of damage. Here come TamTam, and oh, there you go. Crimson's going to fall, as is Pains. It is now a 1v3 for bounces. He'll do very, very well to get any further, but here we go. Round number 11. Wrong weapon swaps or not, this should be spicy.
Yeah. This is, again, right? It's coming down execution to the last round. It happened on Gridlock last time, and it happened in the grand final with EXES when they last played Cougars, of course, with some different Spanish teammates. It's so fitting that we go to a final round again like we did on the first map. So much pressure on a map like this, where every decision counts. Nice little pickup of the Incen. The down came through, but so did the quick revive. Cougars, Incens in hand, and EXES have nothing to show for it. Pulling out the checker, actually. I think Pains might even... No, is he? No, I'm not going to rotate out. Trying to play a bit more defensively, though, that's for sure. Landstring back. Both Incens thrown. Not going to connect. Crimson's tries to respond by running on through. Pains will collapse on one player. 4v2, 4v1. All of a sudden, just like that, EXES play for the retake, and boy, does it work out. Slaps on his own, bounces with the angle at distance, all for it. All to play for, and it's not going to come on through. Pains will find that last kill, and just like that, 6-5 on checkout, tying up the map series 1-1.
Crazy, crazy game. And a much-needed round for EXES Esports in that round number 11. 2v1. It goes in their favor, and we head into the control with things all tied up. That was a very, very interesting one. And I think, you know, obviously it comes down heavily to those initials, but the fact that EXES were kind of behind there when the Incens go over towards TamTam, and they're in a really nice spot. They're wasted a little bit. And as soon as they are wasted, we've seen that EXES just push forward, and they kind of just wipe the floor with them. A really, really well played round by EXES, but I think TamTam will look back at that one and think, oh, we really could have been 2-0 up here, heading into map number 3, which I'm trying to remember myself what map
District
going to be. It's
Control.
Going to be District. Yeah, District Control. Then Vasgar Escalation. So we will at least see these next 2 maps. Gridlock Execution to finish things off if we need it. Which I'm all for,
to be honest with you. Baby.
Yeah,
yes,
I'm all for
me
it.
Me too.
I really enjoyed it when we seen it last week, actually. It was very, very close. It was about that dynamic of, you know, is it the snipe fight? Is it the boom fight? Like, which way do we want to go? Where do we want to put our resources? Do we feel a bit more confident with the boom? Do we feel a bit more confident with the snipe? It's about which playstyle you want to go with. But that's if we do need it, of course. EXES Esports just about tying things up here in map number 2. Now, Control and District, we've seen a very good performance previously, of course, out of TamTam in their semi-final against PhantomT. So, I mean, we've seen good performances from EXES, though. None more, you know, convincing as their... Well, I don't want to say convincing. None more as impressive as their comeback on Nexus last week. So I really don't know. I think it's a very hard one to sort of decipher off the information we've got. It's super close.
so far based in this game, right? We're bound to see a 300 to like 275, 280 game, right? That's how close these two teams are. It's not only the round count, but how the rounds themselves, intra-round play, is literally neck and neck between these two teams. And it always comes down to like one incend or one amazing play or one overextension. And it was the case, that was the case, of course, in training grounds. And that was the case on checkout with the odd push here and there, right? It's really, really neck and neck between these two teams. It's been such an exciting grand final so far. And honestly, for me, a great point to mention perhaps is I'm grateful it's a best of 5 series, right?
Yeah,
we wouldn't have
go.
got that with Escalation best of 3. We get to see more of this close action between these two teams. And so far, Execution and Escalation have been equally close between the two teams. And it was an incredible second map at that, just like we saw in the first. And I think third will not be an exception to that rule.
Hopefully we will be getting into this one very, very shortly. But yeah, District is the only control map we've seen out of TamTam. I'm not sure if it would have been kind of their judgment call on this one when it does come down to the picks and bans, I should say. But I do believe we are getting into map number 3. By the way, I'm sure some football fans in here would have noticed, of course, the Alisson headed goal, the goalkeeper scoring for Liverpool. Just to let you know, that Matt was very, very quiet in my ear. I just got an image that was put in our communication. Matt is a big Liverpool fan. I was half expecting him to scream down my ear, but unfortunately, we didn't get that kind of reaction out of him, Toby. What happened there? I know a lot of different things are going on at this moment in time. You got the football on, you got the major on, you got this on, of course, in one tab. Plenty going on the Sunday night.
Yeah, I just hope people aren't missing this grand final. It's been incredible so far.
Yeah,
really good between every from both teams on all modes and all maps. And I don't know which way to call this one. TamTam were incredible on District earlier against PhantomT.
Likewise, very good.
EXES have been have always just won their controls from all the controls they've played, the tournaments they played in the past before EGL. They have been very good themselves. And Pains has just done an incredible play. My goodness me, catching out 2 just like that. As the dust settles, it's a 1v1. Crimson's won his 1v at nades. Dragons gets the torque bow as his reward in the middle.
Yep, you'll take that if you're Dragons. Hasn't really done a great deal with it.
Always getting angled from the left, though.
Yeah, look at that. Pains from the left, and he's gone. He did have that in his hands, though, so is this team going to be able to pick that one up if they can keep track of that? Look at that.
Oh, my goodness me.
What is that shot from Pains? Is he going to get a hold of the torque bow as well on top of that? Don't think he needs it, to be honest with you.
No. No, that shot is remarkable. Like, the success rate on that, something like that is just absurd from anyone at this level, but Pains just makes it look easy. Oh, he's waiting for Cougars, though. He's caught him out. Cougars has been just sleeping, not aware of where the player might be down bottom. And EXES Esport have had control, really, of the bottom side of the map. They've had bandstand control. The next hill is behind them in the Boltok area, and they've been setting up as they should for down bottom. They push through to green. Hydron is left on his own. And this is the access to the short spawn, which is just behind them on Talon. That's kind of the spawn you want to be at, as Slaps has been looking for. Pains has pushed him off. Good shotgun in from Slaps. Big 1v now. No one around. Everyone focused on the hill. And now Pains will wait out. Wait for his teammates. Oh, Hydron just spawned up, though, and he will find the kill. Just like that, Torbo picked up in the middle. No other appropriate spawns at that time. And just like that, short spawn will be gained.
Never.
Torbo picked up 4 bounces. Oh my, I don't think that was a stick. I think that was on the floor, potentially. To predict exactly where they're going to run across, thanks to comms coming from the hillside. They're going to wrap up these kills now. Cougar's on his own, running towards the short spawn, running for his escape. Bounces and Pains looking to hunt him down, and they do find it. And Torbo still in play for bounces.
Hydron trying to answer back here, but it's been a very good start for EXES Esports. That's the thing with the zones. They do often go through cover and whatnot, so Hydron can contest this pretty safely.
15 seconds ago, Chris, and the next hill is literally it can be a fortress if you set up well on it. Very hard hill to break, and so far EXES, their rotations have been the better for both hills. thus far. They have the numbers advantage when the next sign pops up. And Crimson's has spawn control to cover the right-hand side. Hydron has a look in from blue, waiting for the players to regroup for the push on the left. Cougars, of course, coming from the Boltok. He'll come from the left. And Crimson's has no idea here. Hydron's completely caught him out. He just needs to find his shots. He needs to be quick. But Crimson's is holding on. Big kill. And Bounce is going to be left alive. Very quickly stopping that push in its tracks. And the points will continue to be gained for EXES as a result.
Yeah, they really are starting to pull away here. We're potentially heading over to... Well, we are heading over towards Avanscar after this as well. TamTam, we need to see a bit more out of you here. Really just haven't been able to get close. Dragon's the first one to find a kill in a little bit of time here now, and Push going to continue to come on through. Hydron going to get dropped as well. This has been clean from EXES Esports. Dragons. A little pirouette on the way in. Is going to fall down now. And EXES picking up every single point. There's still 35 to fight for. They're over 100 up in complete control. Power weapons at the ready. This is quite the clinic on District so far.
Yeah, EXES have been playing control better so far on District, that's for sure. And now, next hill will be Bandstand. You can see TamTam are finally going to just give up on that hill with 10 seconds to go and set up. Meanwhile, EXES, they have Torpo in hand for Crimson's to use to suppress that control of the Bandstand area. Crimson's on hand with his trusty Boltok, of course, speaking to how good he is with that weapon earlier. And in fact, the play for EXES right now is to gain numbers advantage elsewhere. They push across the side. Craze, of course, has control of blue, making it very difficult to hold on to the center. And as a result, they've been able to get control of the center of the map. They have the pinch from both sides. And even Payne's trying to get the angle from green for good measure, too.
It's just flawless. It's just
this is such
flawless.
A great collapse. Payne's from the left, bounces through the center.
Oh.
One from the right. Cougar's fighting his way out, but Crimson, he's not giving it at all to him. Running away completely from that shotgun fight, waiting for his teammates to come back. EXES are looking phenomenal on control right now.
Yeah, this is absolutely ludicrous from EXES. Ridiculous statement. Has to be said. I mean, they've just got control of everything. They've got map control. They've got control of the power weapons this moment in time. Crazed is doing a good job with them also. And on top of that, 160-point lead and climbing. Dragons and Snap starting to get something potentially going here for TamTam, but I don't think, you know, they've really even had a moment to breathe, although that little bit of respite might now come.
Next hill is that frag grenades, Chris. Again, can be pretty easy to set up on. Not as well as the Talon, but rotation for early makes a huge difference. 2 kills now, 3 kills for TamTam, stringing kills together. Frag grenades for good measure for Slaps as well, with Cougars in control of Blue Room. And with that, now TamTam, they just need to make sure they stay alive. They have to be careful. Dragons is just stuck in the center. It's such a difficult position to try and hold on to for control, as the spawns are literally all around you, and you've got nowhere to run. 4v3 as it stands. As EXES push in on one side. Cougars has a 1v of his own on the other. Big push from Bounces, though. That's giving him the collapse on the Slaps. Great shot off on one. EXES collapsing from the front and the sides. A lovely retake from them. And it all started with the stagger on Dragons in the center and pushing off that.
Lovely stuff. EXES Esports. Commanding position here. I mean, if they can keep a hold of the rest of the time here, you're looking at what? 240 on the dot. Well, they'll struggle to do that because the pressure is going to come in from TamTam. EXES Esports have tilted up inside Cinema, and it just takes one good talkbow to open things up, but they haven't been able to do anything. Craze runs out. Craze finds 2? How on earth is he being allowed to do that? 1 player remaining. That's going to be Crimson's. He's found 1. The damage may already be done, though. 5 seconds left to play with, and that's the problem for TamTam. They have to scrap for every single second.
They've got the spawn, though, as well.
Yeah, they do.
They've got the better rotation, because you can block off this hill as Slaps is sat in, right? As you said, it goes through covers. You can sit there to prevent points being captured. And as a result, with the Talkbow, with the short spawn, with the spawn control and the Blue Room, the Hydron, Cougars and Dragons are in now. They do have the means to take control of this hill. They just need to start a kill to start the momentum and the push. Nades in hand as well, even. Cougar throws in one at the back, but the double kill from Pains elsewhere somehow, and the flank might turn the tide of battle. Cougar's full red, and Pains has somehow, some way kept EXES in it on this hill. Craze will find the other. Short spawn gain for TamTam in that entire process, as all of EXES needed to commit to that hill. Just maybe they can keep themselves in it.
So hard, though. So difficult.
He needs a revive. Pains is looking for it. He's going to get out alive, but Slaps will take out Craze. Pains, my goodness me, has been incredible this map. Absolutely unreal.
We've got no answer.
EXES right now are just playing out their mind. They really are as a team and individually. They just keep doing incredible stuff, just schooling TamTam on how to play control.
Oh.
Slaps to find another, or rather he'll get taken down. And again, they're going to be staggered with 20 seconds to go. Will we be going to the next hill? I think we will. Can't see the score there. Yeah, 5 seconds left. We are definitely going to that hill. And TamTam, they've beaten them there. They've got the rotation. They've got frag grenades. Hydra can rotate over, but EXES are sprinting for the spawn control.
Oh, Cougar's done well to survive. Put the pressure on. Oh, he's going to drop one, but it's not going to be enough. On the grenade doesn't connect. Oh, that is hard to bear. If you're TamTam, because now you've lost spawns, you're going to start getting pinched from all sorts of different angles, and there's the shot's going to come through. Hydron will fall first. Cougars finds it down, though, as does Dragons, with actually a full kill going to come on through. Dragons, that's disgusting! Can he find anything else on the bounces here? Maybe just one too many. We're going to have to come up with, but TamTam still in control. Bounces with some good shots coming on through on Cougars. Oh, wow, bounces. We are seeing some high-level Gears of War on offer here. Hydra will eventually deal with it.
Composure from Hydra in there. I swear some of the best shotgun fights you see on this game are in control. Just when you have that pace, that constant rotations and plays forced to be made when the odds are stacked against you, that's when you see the players just shine. For me, there has been some unbelievable plays in this map of District Control, despite the score disparity between the two teams. But control TamTam nonetheless. 16 seconds ago. The next hill is the big one, though, for me. Stagger coming in. They're still committing, though. They still want the points. They want to wrap it up here. Can they win off this hill?
Not now, not now.
No, not now.
6 seconds remaining. 3, 2, 1. Nope. Not going to be
they
close
want to make
enough.
it as easy as possible on this next hill, and that's going to stand in it. 1 second to go. The beauty of control, there's no capture time. They have to stay in the hill. TamTam have to win this team fight. They get one. Hydron will be revived. There comes the flank. Pains will be traded out. Dragons remains alive. And it comes down to a 1v2. Crimsons will fall. TamTam will live to fight perhaps another battle.
But how long is it going to last? That's the problem. Even with this full 60, and that's keeping a hold of the whole thing. It takes one single break for EXES Esports.
They have to stay in the hill. Yeah.
And it's not the easiest one to just sort of stay safe in. Slaps is going to find one, not two. Makes things a little bit harder, but I think the thing is, if you're EXES Esports here, you can just kind of be like, right, well, okay, well, we lost a couple of players here. Yeah, just think about the next hill.
Unfortunately, if you keep doing that, it might reach a point where it could be a 1 or 2 hill game. And then all of a sudden, you haven't got that window, and the other team has momentum. Gee, okay. Oh my god! He just stepped in at the end. Just like that. They stepped out of the hill for the last second. Did TamTam. And because of that shotgun fight victory from Bounces lurking at the end, he got the cap. TamTam forgot about that hill. They just left one player. And they're essentially punished for it.
That was a ludicrous game of control out of EXES Esports. But I mean, that final kill was.
Ooh.
I need a breather after that.
The kills are insane.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I know a lot of people say it's very hectic, but it's super entertaining to watch at times where all these fights, they all matter in the grand scheme of things, and it can't come down just to a full-on slaying battle. But there you go. I mean, EXES Esports now find themselves 2-1 up. Before we head over towards Vazgar, we really could be heading to a map number 5 here. We really could, but I mean, it's very, very hard to say. Map number 4, as mentioned, is of course going to be Escalation, so tried and tested for both two teams. All these guys would have played each other multiple times on this map, so no surprises to come out with here at all. And I think if you're TamTam in this one, you look at that final round of Execution and you kind of go, oh, that's the one you look at and you sort of say, if that goes a different way, we've got a much better cushion heading into these next 2 maps. Control just didn't go their way. Yes, okay, there was a bit of a comeback, but it was realistically done for quite some time. So a tough one for them to bear. But heading to map number 4, Toby, I really don't know which way this heads. I'm kind of leaning EXES now, just a little bit of momentum behind them after 2 maps in a row.
I just feel like that control was just phenomenal. Like they just put on a school. They put on a school for everyone. I was watching in awe of a lot of the plays. There's some of the splits. Oftentimes they were pushing from 3 lanes at one time to get a perfect collapse. At the same time, you know, there was no 1Bs going on. Players were close by to make sure that was a fight involving multiple numbers on their side. It was really beautiful to see. Pain just pulling off kills left, right, and center. Flanks that somehow just completely thwarted a very good push from the enemy team on hills. And to stop spawn control as well. That was phenomenal. That was really good. And unfortunately, right, for Team TamTam, it was just that first quarter, that first half that really hurt them in the end, because they strung a few hills together in the end, right? They went from, was it 200 points down to only 100 points down. And they were rotating and set up for the next hill. I think they had the advantage there. But, you know, if they didn't have to worry about that 1 point, you know, that bounce is just collected at the end, that next hill could have been another, and all of a sudden it was a 1 hill game. You know, unfortunately for them, it perhaps was a little bit closer than score lines would suggest. It's just some of these, you know, money hills as starting to be turned by a lot of players and teams. If you can lock onto those hills early on, it can give you a big advantage if you can hold on to them. That's the beauty, I guess, of control.
Yeah, it's all about those rotations and making sure you are locking them in. And well, it was just very well played from EXES Esports. We'll be heading over towards Vasgar, as mentioned, on Escalation. Predictions for this then? I think it's one of the harder ones to predict. I mean, we've seen all teams have their moments on Vasgar. Of course, it's not exactly the same team by any stretch of the imagination, of course, coming in here for TamTam. But nonetheless, you know, we have seen time and time again both these two teams, or at least players on these rosters, do well specifically on Vasgar. It's a very familiar map, a very familiar mode. It really could go either way. It's been a good series though, and for whichever way this one does finish, I absolutely believe that this is a battle we're going to see continue to rage on over the next, we've got 5 weeks left to go before the finals, and it's one that's going to be at the top, and other teams who are potentially going to be coming back later on in the season are going to be looking at this and say, okay, these are the top 2 teams potentially here now. You're looking at teams like PhantomT to try and come through and improve their game to find themselves in a spot in the grand final once again, and you've got plenty of people who aren't playing right now who will be looking at this and sort of saying, right, okay, what can we do to beat one of these 2 teams? And well, get yourself signed up and see what you can do. Get the scrims in. Toby, he's always looking for scrims. He'll show you the ropes.
Hit me up.
Of control.
I'm only a DM away. Scrim? Someone say scrim?
I'm not trying to scrim against you, man. No.
Me and you should scrim. Cast a scrim.
Elliot scrimming. What are you scrimming on?
Oh, my device, you mean?
Yes.
Well, of course it's PC, but no, I've been mostly controller actually.
Oh, okay.
Class 1A have been nice to me at times of us. So can I, you know, the teams are a bit unfair. You are, you know, a top team in Europe. Can I whip out the swipe for a little bit? And they're like, yeah, all right. Yeah, you're fine. Yeah, you're fine. And then suddenly I get little bounces and Saitama on my team. And then suddenly before the map starts,
put it away.
No swiping. Put it away. Which is quite funny. But no, really good scrims, mostly controller. I'm getting my thumbs back slowly, Chris. I'm not as consistent, I will admit, as any of the players in this lobby. I do not hit bricks like they do constantly, and certainly not that bounces shot at the end that won the map on District. But no, this is, going back to the game, this is going to be a beautiful map. I just checked the scores for last week, actually, in the grand final. PhantomT versus EXES. EXES won that 5-2 as well. It was correct. Both EXES and TamTam have beaten PhantomT on the first map of their matches 5-2. And so they've, you know, performed just as well. And even on paper, right? With Foundation out of the cycle now, that which used to be TamTam's best map, arguably, I would argue. It's now almost Vasgar is always a strong pick for both these teams, and perhaps the favorite pick, the top pick for both teams, definitely for EXES. So it's a very fitting escalation map, I think, to see now. And it could go either way. I really don't know how to call it now at this point.
Well, into it we go. A slow start over towards B, but it is going to be EXES Esports potentially locking this one in. It looks like the shotgun positioning from them is at least looking a bit more advantageous. Slap's going to have to back on down. In B now in the control of EXES Esports, and the wrap around the C could come in very, very quickly, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Pains is lurking. And you can see how different this is now on Vazgar compared to the previous maps, right? You had the super fast checkout and district that required fast pace. Training grounds was super fast on the initials, but Vazgar very quickly is starting to slow down as both teams really, really understand the fact that they can win on this map. And they absolutely need to, given how close a lot of these maps have been in this grand final.
Yep. It's been very, very close. That's going to be coming in here, though. EXES Esports are going to dominate. They will. That's quick round number one. Say that in 2 minutes. Just sort of came all of a sudden, didn't it?
Yeah, yep. It was building slowly, wasn't it? Only 1 kill for Slaps. He was the only person on that team that got a kill the entire round. For TamTam. Yeah, not ideal at all, no. Not ideal. Not surprised that we have the Boltok going down already. I'm sure Crimson's will be the man to man that weapon. But I would like to see TamTam show up on this map. Another round number 9 would be incredible on the escalation. These teams are literally locked up into a rivalry already, it seems like, upon the return of TamTam. And these players, Craze for Red, dropped. Crimson's not having any of it, just dipping as he saw the numbers rolling out, literally. Seahill captured up now, as quickly TamTam are on the response.
Very, very quickly. In seeing their control now. Looking solid enough. B's the only thing. I mean, EXES are pushing on 2 different fronts here, Toby.
They are. They are. Cougars actually was the one picked up the ball top. Pain's not having any of it. Neither is Bounces. The Italian duo immediately eliminating their opponents. Crimson's as well is going to jump in and find Dragons very easily, leaving just 1 player remaining. High drone on his own. Seahill broken. Seahill almost captured. 2 seconds on the clock. Can Guga's reach? Oh my goodness me. He's literally an inch from it. 2-0. And so far, EXES just look a little bit snappy.
Yep.
Kills are definitely showing that as well.
It's been quite comfortable.
I just hope that TamTam aren't deflated after the control, to be honest.
I mean, they shouldn't be. This is the thing, like what we were saying previously. Both of these 2 teams, they don't kind of have the same play time. I mean, look, you can look at the execution going over towards checkout. It's a familiar map. But district control, not so much. So I think if you're TamTam, you look at that one, you sort of say, okay, well, yeah, we didn't necessarily get too much practice on that one, maybe, but something they have had practice at is this jump shot fight over towards B. That's very early. Not too surprising with the way that things have been going. Crazed is just going to run in there and get a hold of it. And the fight continues after that. Crazed is, well, still alive and out. EXES Esports. One's worked out well and truly in their favor.
They've just been, I mean, that seemed very slow for me from TamTam, to be honest. It seemed like 3 players of EXES were just there, ready to pick up a kill. And yeah, I understand there's an asymmetry, right? There's a difference in speed for both sides, but TamTam just didn't have the numbers, really, to contest that at all. Pains, oh my, amazing. Run out of words to describe some of these players in this grand final. Crazed, finds Dragons. Still 1 drop shot to go as well. Looking for it. Oh, that's amazing as well. Blind fire on top. Active in hand to make sure kill is guaranteed. And although the points are in the way of TamTam, and no triple cap is coming their way, or is it? Maybe I've spoken too soon. Here comes EXES flying now. Slaps is gone. Hydron's aware of that fact. Sea Hill broken. Sea Hill about to be captured, perhaps. One's going to jump over to B Hill, though. Yeah. And it's broken.
That's broken it fairly easily here. Cougars not going to be able to capture it, though. With getting rid of Crazed. In's going to find the fight on the other side of things, though. Crazed is now going to force it off. Cougar's very, very weak. I mean, needs the rest of his team to come up clutch over towards C, which is what's happened. Interesting to see if Cougars gets out of that one. I think he's going to find one before being dropped. Still, nonetheless, EXES Esports 50 seconds and counting for the win condition.
Payne sees the numbers, quickly bows out. Still looking for him. Won't be surprised if they try and jump up. TamTam now. There come the reinforcements. Bounces the down and slaps elsewhere. Hydron's flash isn't going to connect. He continues on right hand nonetheless. Look at Payne's just still running away from one opponent, influencing the fight to a big degree elsewhere. Craze will get down. Hydron will lose his fight subsequently to Payne's. And a triple cap again is on our screen. They're coming off spawn. They have to reach, and they cannot. I don't know, Chris. For me, EXES just are outslaying them. They're looking like a different team compared to TamTam now, when you compare to the last escalation of TG.
Very convincing. 3-0 now. EXES Esports really walking away with this one. And I think it would be a disappointment if it did just continue this way. Every single map. It's been very, very close. Escalation close, execution close. Okay, the control wasn't close, fair enough. But at the same time,
deservedly so, though.
Yeah, it's been a back and forth series, and it'd be a shame to end it on a 5-0. But that's the way EXES Esports are heading. They will not care one little bit in which way they do it. Just wanted to see map number 5, to be honest with you, Toby.
I do. Yeah, exactly. Perhaps a little bit biased right now. RS casters in favor of the action and the extended action. But that's better from TamTam. 0 fights going on there. Drop shot picked up and legged out the back. Absolutely legged it, did all the players. But an amazing retake as I say that. EXES, 2 players down. They will put TamTam. Quickly coming off respawn though. B Hill regaining the process.
Been very, very simple for EXES Esports so far. And that is as simple as it comes for bouncers. Dragons didn't even have a chance to react. It's just about going to go EXES' way though. I think momentarily, it's only Slaps left alive. And the push towards A is going to start ringing in very, very shortly for EXES Esports. They're probably going to want to push that way. That Slaps is trying to defend, but trying to defend against a few members of EXES Esports now. The flash just to delay the push. Look at that from Paynes. It's clean as a whistle. Give him number 1. He nearly gets the second. Doesn't matter though. Crimsons will finish that one off. Nobody else anywhere near being able to stop this happening. EXES Esports 4-0 up. This is all whitewash on Vazgot.
It absolutely is. I mean, the kills just say it all, really. 7, 9 kills in total for TamTam. Meanwhile, 2 players have 9 kills each on EXES. Never mind the rest of the team. Staggering. A comeback theoretically is possible between these 2 teams, given TG went from 4-1 up to 4-4, but right now, TamTam just looked like a different team. I'll be honest, compared to what we saw on TG and EXES as well. They look obscenely good. Everyone is just playing at the top level. Payne's how he's moving through the map is a testament to that.
It's a whole other drop, and kind of feels like TamTam are already defeated. And this round could be over very, very quickly. Look at the shotgun fights just going the right direction. There's not going to quite another one on the Dragons. Former teammates, of course. Oh, Chris should be dead. Never mind. Dragons have been dropped by Paynes. D now going to be locked in. Nobody over towards E, but if you're TamTam, you got to fight for D. Next is Esports are going to be making the run over. It's going to be a foot race over towards E. E not quite locked in, but it's about to be by EXES Esports. It's going to be about the fight over towards E. TamTam are going to be the first ones here, Toby.
Yeah. fought for that E-hill. Capture does eventually come through, but a lot of damage being done so far by EXES. Hydra Unlock in the middle. Simple flank for bounces. Lots of space built up between him and his 1B on the side. Revive comes in. 2v1 in front. Cougar's great shotgunning though. On point. So damaging. Bounces will be shut down. E-hill will be capped up for a second. Not going to come on through fully though.
Oh, feels like they're playing with their food a little bit here. Only person that's managed to make it out. The TamTam is Dragons. Not a great deal he can do there. I mean, Slaps is literally talking in the chat whilst this continues. EXES Esports. I mean,
think that's a sign of feeling defeated at this point. Reaching for other tools. 160 to 80. E not capped up just yet. Craze wins his 1B. Crimson's pushes in. A 2v1 simply done for them. E-hill starting to build up now. One Secret Man though. Oh, Craze has found him very quickly though. Right hand for him. Simply finding his old teammate right there on high drone pains with a new drop shot and a quick revive coming on through to ensure he stays alive. 25 seconds. Yeah,
stays alive, whiffs the first shot, but I don't think it's going to make a big deal of difference towards the end result of this one, although you say that. Now Pains finds one, and he finds the second here on the Cougars. He's got no right to win that fight. Crimson's now defending at E, and that's your old teammate you've just got rid of as well. D being locked in. That's going to be the game. EXES Esports. Not the easiest of series, but very much the easiest of escalations on Vanguard. 5-0 to finish it off. 3-1 overall. A very, very good performance from EXES Esports, but it has to be said, TamTam did really look like they win it. I mean, that escalation in the controller side, both first two maps are very, very close. That round number 11 on the execution, that goes a different way. All of a sudden, we're heading to a map number 5, and it could be a very much different story. It could have swung either way there, Toby.
Round number 11, execution, TG as well, right? It was barely a round. It was like just one play within a round that made the difference. Insane stuff. Really good grand final, 3-1. I think this rivalry is just going to last for a long, long time yet.
Yeah, I think these two are going to continue to go at it in grand finals for the majority of the weeks of the Open Series. But let's have a look how it did break down with the bracket and see who finished where. Of course, Class 1A and PhantomT falling in those semi-finals. But again, for them, you know, it's unfortunate that they're meeting up against such high-quality opposition in EXES. And of course, TamTam newly coming in this week. TamTam, though, in the grand final just could not get it done against EXES. But as mentioned, you know, if you did miss it, I went to a round number 11, all the way at 5-5 between these two and map number 2. That goes over towards EXES Esports after a win on map number 1 for TamTam as well. 2-0 up in the series. You're all of a sudden thinking very, very differently. But that round does go towards EXES, and then the next two maps follow that as well. 3-1 for them. That's 3 weeks in a row for EXES Esports. And they'll be looking to continue that on. Who on earth is going to be able to beat these guys? I feel as if, you know, if you're TamTam in this scenario, I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. You know, these guys have been in for the past 2 weeks and been performing very, very well, very well. It's going to take some time before you do catch up to the level they've set, Toby.
I think so. I mean, you have to tip your hat to them, I guess. It's been 3 weeks. I mean, Hydron, he didn't look rusty. He says he's not played for 28 days. He didn't look rusty to me at all, especially in the earlier games in the semi-final. I think perhaps it's more of a team thing. Right, they've just walked in onto Control District, and X has looked incredible. They really schooled them in how to play the hills, how to break, etc., etc. And unfortunately, I just think perhaps the lack of experience hurt them there a little bit. Because Access did just look like a different tier. You had the rest of the maps before, TG, Escalation, Execution, Checkout, where they look neck and neck, but then suddenly you come to Control and they look like 2 different teams suddenly. You know, maybe that's a sign there of the variable that made the big difference at the end of the day. That practice on Control is necessary. It's required to perform at this level now, especially when you have a rivalry this close. And I think that just showed there that win on District Control really just unfortunately put the other team just at a very poor position psychologically going into Asgard, and that's why they look quite deflated. Slaps typing in chat 5-0 in the end after what was an extremely close grand final before that. It's unfortunate. I think in time, as more experience comes through for this team, perhaps the result will flip the other way in coming
Possibly.
weeks.
Very possibly. I think, with a bit more practice, they very much will be there. But once again, thank you to everybody who did come and hang out in the chat. Your skins are on their way, hopefully. Toby, once again, thank you to yourself for coming and joining me this evening. But there you go. EXES Esports 3 in a row now, but there is competition on the table. Interested to see what happens in week number 4. We'll be back same time, same place next week. We'll see you then.